Hello, hello. This is the Union Tapes episode number 26, and it's with someone who was actually on my original list when I wrote the original list to do these things. It's with Nick Martin, aka Marv, and I hassled him for a little bit, and it didn't look like he was going to come on, but he finally come on, and we had a pretty good chat. We go right back to the start as usual. Marv's from Berkshire originally. Then he moved to Sheffield, where he sort of cut his teeth, made a name for himself, and got the last part in the iconic DVD Voices made by Joe Cox. And then we cover him moving down to London, all of the London stuff, making DVDs, controversial interviews he did in magazines and write-ups, riding for Fit, riding for Animal. Basically his journey through BMX, which is a good one, and I'm sure you'll find it interesting. So get it down, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we just need a bit of the early stuff, like born and raised, what you got up to as a kid and stuff like that.
I grew up in Newbury, Berkshire, like near Reading and Oxford. Before I got into riding, I guess, you just going to school, and grunge was massive at that point, and I was quite into that sort of music scene, so I listened to Nirvana quite a bit, and then I got really into The Offspring, and then got into that sort of punky sort of music at that sort of time, like, and Rancid and Pennywise and Blink-182, and was buying like Kerrang and that sort of thing.
Excellent. What year was this? Early 90s, mid 90s?
Yeah, I think I was probably like 13. I remember when I went on a school trip. Like, I think I was in like year 9, so I probably would have been like. So you go to school at 11, so I would have been like 13. And then it had like different kids from my year group that I wasn't hanging around with, and I met them, and they were just normal kids, but they were into like that Nirvana mainly. Okay. And then I don't know where I found Offspring from, but I was really into them, like massively into them.
Well, they blew up a little bit after sort of the grunge thing, didn't they? So
yeah,
I was in Kerrang. I used to buy Kerrang, so yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, I could, I was drawing their album covers on my fucking school books and shit, and buying. And because I live near Reading, everyone went to Reading. Like, Reading Festival was massive.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I never ever went, but I think there was quite or it felt like there was quite a lot of alternative scene.
Yeah.
It's only like 20 miles away, so I guess there was quite a lot of that. And there was shops in town that you could buy those CDs and stuff in, so I was into that. And then I got into like racing remote control cars. Like, I think, when you're in, to cross over from toys, like, I think I got a remote control car for Christmas or something one year. And I was like, this is wicked, as you do, like, new toys as well, good. And then I found out about some people that were like racing remote control cars in the area, and I used to go to these like meetups every like Thursday or Wednesday, whenever it was, and race them for probably about a year or something, but I was really shit at it. And then I got into like rollerblading, and I probably did that for like 18 months or so. But then like rollerblading was massive, you know what I mean? Like,
it was booming.
Yeah, there was a mini ramp right next to my house, like in the park next to my house, and there was another one in town, like a metal one, and then there was another one a little bit further away. So they would just like, go rollerblading all the time. And then my dad took me and a couple of my mates to Southsea. And then
Or just on a random day?
Yeah, like Saturday or something like that. You know what I mean? Just
no
like,
event. Yeah, it was just
there was nothing going on. But then just normal kid stuff really, like, and I always had a bike, and my brother was into mountain biking, but I always had a bike from when I was a little kid. From like 5 years old, I had a bike. But that's kind of it. Like early days.
You found BMX through rollerblading now, I assume?
Well, my brother actually bought he bought a Harrow, a race Harrow. He was like, I got into it through him.
All right.
Because he was into mountain biking, and for some reason he bought a Harrow, and then he had like a couple of issues of props. He had like 13 and 17, and he had issues of ride, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was always around. Like I remember like BMX Bandits and shit like that being on TV. I think I always knew of BMXing.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was. I guess I thought it was cool. You know what I mean? Like I thought extreme sports were like cool.
Yeah.
I thought they were fucking cool.
Yeah, that was the blow up point, wasn't it? Late 90s, so.
So then there was like, what I mean, like rollerblading, and skateboarding, and BMXing. I was like, they were kind of alternative. Well, they were alternative at the time, weren't they?
Yeah. So they went along with it because, like, you think Offspring, rollerblading, BMX, kind of like it's all in the same. It's all in the same bit, right? Like,
yeah, I thought so. And then I got into riding through my brother really. He's like a couple of years older than me, and there were BMXers in Newbury, and there were some jumps down at this park in town called Northcroft, and they had a jam there, and I guess my brother told me about it, and I went down as just like a spectator with this other blader I was mates with, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. Like all my friends who I became friends with were there.
Yeah.
And like my best mate from growing up, like after this point, was called Mike Ward, and I saw him there, and he had like a dirt bike with Castillo bars, and he had like a case. He rode in with a case of stubbies on his shoulder, and I was like, oh my god, that is the fucking coolest.
And how old are you at this point?
15.
Okay.
And that was at the end of the summer, like 1997, and then I had a paper round from when I was like 13.
Yeah.
And I was still doing a paper round, and I just saved up, and I bought a Shrimp Predator, and but before that, so my brother was friends with like all these people that were riding. They were actually my age and not my brother's age.
Oh, okay.
And for some reason, my brother was like out, going out drinking and stuff at this point. And one Saturday morning, I went into his room, like was talking to him, and Mike's bike was in his bedroom, and he had a blue 1-inch dirt bike with like redneck Castillos. He had like one-piece cranks, but all this stuff, and I was like, fucking hell, look at that thing. I was like, that is fucking amazing. That's like, my brother had this Harrow. I was like, that's fucking shit compared to this, really. Yeah. This is like really fucking cool. And then, so then I saw these people. There was probably like, so there already was like quite a good group of BMXers in Newbury, and there was like Mike Ward, Joe Riley, Rob Bartlett, Josh Fry, Ollie Bradshaw, and then and Grant Stone. He was much older than us, so he was like good 10 years older than us. And then there was loads of other people, like a few other people as well. But then I got that Shrimp Predator, and then I don't know how. So the jumps that they had the jam at, they got ploughed because they were just in like a public park at the bottom of this hill.
Yeah. And
there was this committee, this lady. I don't know how that she there was like a youth club in town called Waterside. It was right next to the canal, and I don't know how she got involved, but everyone was like, we need to get a skate park in Newbury, and they formed this committee called the United Wheels Foundation, and they had like rollerbladers, skateboarders, and BMXers all involved. And I was one of the rollerbladers. So this was before I started riding.
All right.
So I think I must have met all Mike and Rob and Rylers and all them there. And then when I got into riding, when I actually got a bike, I don't remember the first day I went riding or anything. But it was. So they'd got these. There was like, we want to get a skate park, blah blah blah. But in the meantime, you can have they're going to give you some dirt at the same park where they built these jumps, but at the top of the hill, and they built like a roll in, and then like a jump, and then a berm, and then another jump, and then another big berm, and then like a tabletop. And the first day I ever went riding was there.
All right.
And they were all there, and it had just had the
Fresh,
mud delivered, yeah. And it was like, it was half term in like October, so then I just started riding after that.
From then on, yeah.
Oh.
So what was the path from there? Like, you got like a good start there because you had videos and mags already. Like,
yeah.
And then like, did you start? You met these guys. I guess you started hanging out with them more.
Yeah.
Were they like travelling to other scenes and that? Or?
Not really. Not at that time. Well, maybe because I guess when I started, it was winter. Really.
Yeah.
I'd started in like October, and then we just rode locally in town, like, you know, street in inverted commas. Yeah. But and then later in like '98. I don't know, I think we maybe got the train to Reading to go, because they had a skate park there and we went and rode that. But yeah, but like some of them were like Grant, because Grant was like, you know, mid to late 20s at this point.
Yeah, Grant's my age, yeah.
So he had a car and he would go with some of them, because I didn't really know him as well as they did, because obviously I hadn't been riding that long. But I think they'd go and ride like skate and ride in Bristol.
Okay.
And other places, maybe like Radlands and stuff, but I didn't start really going riding other places till later on.
All right.
Because I think that first year in like '98, there were some jumps near one of, like, pretty near my house, like down the bottom of the hill from my house, which was right next to where Joe Wright, like my mate Ryler's lived, and this other guy Josh Fry lived in this bit called Gypsy Lane, and there was like 3 jumps in a row there, and we just rode that loads.
Yeah. And
then I'm pretty sure in '98, like the summer in '98, they built the skate park, or some of the skate park.
What was the skate park? I don't even remember seeing it.
It was like that guy Grant, like GHB ramps, he made it, and it was like a wood. It was metal, or some of it was wood covered with metal, and then other parts were just metal. And to begin with, it had like, you know, it was like classic rectangular piece of tarmac. Yeah. One end 4 foot quarter, 5 foot quarter, 6 foot quarter, and then a jump box, and it was just that for a while, and then then after a while it got like a spine and a driveway next to in line with a jump box, and then at the end it had like a 6 foot quarter with a flat bank in the middle and a sub on it, and then another 6 foot quarter.
Nice. Did they get used a lot, or was that?
Yeah, man. Like once that was built,
section,
we basically just rode there. Yeah. We dug some jumps, but the motivation dried up.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
especially when skate park. Right?
Yeah. And then this other, like one of my brother's mates, because it was booming at the time. Mm. There was like those people I mentioned, but there was other people all around, like a couple of people my brother's age, and everyone sort of, you know, some people were mountain bikers, but they'd be there, like at the jumps, or I don't know. There seemed to be like quite a lot of people. The scene seemed to be pretty like thriving at the time. But this guy that my brother went to school with, who was, you know, his age, his dad bought this farm like a tiny bit out of Newbury, and then he was like, yeah, you can just build loads of jumps down the end of this field.
Oh, no way.
And it was like slightly downhill, and they did. I think he even rented a digger, but they built fucking like loads and loads of jumps down this hill, you know, just like straight in a straight line. But it was sort of like private land, and some of the people that I was friends, like those cool people I mentioned, they'd taken a piss out of this geezer previously, and he was like, "Yeah, you ain't going, fuck off." So it was a bit like, "Oh, that's not great," but then he was like mates with my brother, and so I could go and ride it. But
So I always wondered. I didn't know for sure, but you always seemed like you guys had like you had trail knowledge, like
yeah,
and that's obviously where it come from, that like early props and building
like,
jumps.
I loved the trail stuff. Like when I first rode, that's all I wanted to ride was jumps, and then got into riding street like a couple of years later. But just wanted to ride trails really. I really like Chris Bennett and I just loved all that really.
Yeah,
it was it was booming.
East Coast trails.
Well, and I really loved soil and just all of it really. Just jumps in a row. It was sick. Like seeing people do tricks over jumps. In a row, like that's pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
it was booming at that point as well. It was really like that was everywhere, wasn't it? So
yeah.
And then so where'd you go from there? Like you build them jumps, and then what does that take you up to? Like about 17 or something, I guess. Like how long do you stay in Newbury for?
I stayed in Newbury till I was 19.
Okay.
So yeah, one.
And did you like, other than skate and ride? I guess you went there a few times with a crew.
I didn't really go there a huge amount, but to be honest, yeah, I just rode Newbury a lot at this point until, you know, the skate park got finished and we just rode there loads, and then we tried to build some other jumps near Bartlett's house, and we just finished them, and then they got ploughed, and then we rode in Reading a little bit and Basingstoke. But I think that was when I was a bit older, probably, like 17, 18. Like, yeah, I don't know. But I think once people started to drive, like one of my mates, sorry, I didn't mention him actually, this guy called Tom Higgins, he was like my age, but I rode with him a lot. Like the core people that I mentioned, a lot of them dropped, like Mike stopped pretty quickly after that, and a lot of the other, not like Ryler's carried on for a while, Bartlett carried on for a long time. Like Josh stopped riding pretty much. My brother got back into like mountain bikes, and it sort of like slimmed down a bit. But then one of our mates started riding this guy called Bo, and I rode with him a lot. He actually was like a year above me at my school, and he was like the school bully.
All right.
He was fucking absolute. Everyone was scared of him, man.
Okay.
He was the only person at school with a skinhead. He never had hair. Like his dad shaved his head from birth. And I was like, he started riding, and then I was hanging around with him loads, and Higgins, and then Higgins learned to drive pretty early, and we started going to like Newport a bit because they had that foam pit, and then went to Radlands probably 3 or 4 times. Started coming up to PlayStation.
All right.
That was probably pretty early on. Probably when I was like 17, because you could get the train up there and ride from the. Well, we got the tube until, from Paddington to fucking.
Oh right, yeah, 2 stops.
Yeah, we were like. I remember one time when we tried to get it back, like, no, you're not getting your bikes on that. It's rush hour, and we were like, fucking hell, what are we gonna do? It's like, who knows the way? No one. We were just like, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be so far. But it was like, 10-minute ride.
Was we riding at PlayStation when you used to go there?
I don't think I ever saw you there. I think I saw Martin Orme once. But we used to go on, because I was at sixth form, like finished school and went to a different school, but it was like a sixth form, and they'd have like inset days.
Okay.
So we'd just go on
random days.
We'd go on like a random day, because we were never going to go up for like bike night.
Yeah, Tuesday night was
It's a
bike night. Yeah.
bit of a pain in the ass to get
Yeah.
like, you know, it's going to take an hour and a half or more to get home from there, probably more. So yeah, we just go on like random days, and then just sort of trying to find things in the local area. We like went to.
So are you looking for street stuff at this point?
A little bit, yeah. Well, I think that's probably when I was like 17,
Yeah, okay.
18. And I think once the driveway got built in Newbury, at the skate park, I started like sessioning that a lot. And like, I really liked like Butcher. I really liked all that, the street riders that were around then, like Butcher and Gonz and Troy. And how, like, I think, you know, classic, like my brake cable broke. And I was never good at setting up a brake anyway. Like, I couldn't do, like, I'd never be able to do a Fufanu on a brake because it would always slip. And then, yeah, that whole movement started getting pretty big. Like, I think on the download came out probably like when I was like 16, 17. And then, you know, BMX, S&M BMX4 came out and Troy's section was like, amazing, like real good, wasn't it? Like big rails, you know, like 180 bar spin, a lot of street bar spins. So then I started getting into that and just riding that, you know, doing like different grinds on the driveway, like, you know, learn ice split grinds and over grinds, X up grinds, and then I think I did my first rail when I was like. But yeah, we started riding more street, and there wasn't a lot of street in Newbury really. Yeah. But yeah, I was trying to ride it then, and there was one handrail in Newbury called Comet Handrail, and I did that, and I was like, this is happening now. Yeah. I felt like the fucking champion.
Were you the only person who did that rail, or did other people as well?
Well, Mike had tried to do a rail. Because in Newbury, there was this, you know, like Bayer Drugs. Yeah. The pharmaceutical company. Yeah. They had a big office in Newbury, and there was handrails there, and but in the big blader boom, they all got capped. Oh, okay. And before they got capped, Mike tried to do one and decked it, like didn't get his back peg on. And, but no one else had done no one else had tried at that point. And then I did Comet Handrail, and I was like absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, stepped into a new realm. How big was Comet Handrail?
7 stairs.
Oh, right.
Felt like a champ.
Yeah.
Had like it's pretty stock rail, you know, like bar height. Yeah. Down, tiny little kink on the end, so it sort of pops you off. Yeah. But yeah, I did that like I remember doing it like third go, and I hadn't yet shit. You know, when you're like, if you're trying something, can you eat shit? Fucking hell, that's to put you off. But I got on every time, and then maybe my feet blew off or something when I landed. But I did that third go, I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, this is great.
That was it, off on the journey then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So no brakes, and then you've done a handrail.
Yeah.
So that kind of, then things have changed, right?
Yeah. But like to go back a little bit, I had that Schwinn Predator, and just instantly started like upgrading parts on it, don't you? Because it's like,
yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, it's like 150 quid bike, and it's fine, but it's not. You know, it's not a rider's bike, is it? Yeah. It's going to start falling apart. So, and then I got like a mongoose fuzz, like because the Predator was 1 inch. I was like, I need to get like. It was difficult because you had to. You know what I mean? If you wanted to get a 1 1/8 bike, you had to get fucking loads of stuff. It's not just getting a new frame. Yeah. You had to get like frame, fork, stem, headset. I was like, fuck's sake. And this guy, Richard Young, who lived in Fatcham, he had a fuzz and he was selling it, and he was selling it like the frame, forks, stem and headset for I don't know, like 180 quid or something. So I bought that, and then, but it was massive. It was like 21.5 inches, and I was
that was a real ugly frame as well.
It was really big,
back end that went like, and it had a massive dropout. Yeah, I remember.
But the tubing went underneath the dropout. so it was shit for grinds.
Yeah, okay, I remember it. Yeah,
and it had like a
dropout was like an A4 bit of paper, wasn't it?
It was awful. And it was chrome. It minged, man.
Oh, man.
And it had an STA style gusset, but longer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is. And then that was shit. And then after, probably had that for about 6 months, and then I bought a General Lee, and
what, frame or complete?
Frame, and that was like, I was like, oh, this is wicked. This is like a sick bike, and I was buzzing with that. And then I think I definitely got a Debo after that. I bought that second hand off this other guy in Newbury called Naylor, and I think I did Comet Amrail on the Debo.
Oh yeah.
But that bike it transcript like from the fuzz to the Debo.
Yeah.
Was like completely different. Like over 2 bikes, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'd gone from like dirt jumper kid to like
almost a
street
race
kid.
bike. The fuzz is like wasn't really even a dirt jumping bike. I wouldn't say, was it?
I don't even know. Yeah, I have no idea what the dimensions for that thing. Like, you know what I mean, other than the top tube. But yeah, and then I'll try and find a picture of the Debo actually, because I was like, this bike looks fucking sick, man. It was like,
what colour was it?
Grey.
All right, I remember the grey one. They did grey in the army, like olive green, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was good as well.
But it had like Hoffman jumping bars and like them bit, you know, and those exposure massive chain rings. They came in,
yeah,
and it looked good, man. I thought it looked good. Anyway.
Where was you getting stuff from at this point?
I got the early days just wherever was cheapest.
Yeah.
And then afterwards from Cyclone. My dad would call up Cyclone and buy stuff from you. I think you remember. I think you had a bit of rapport with my dad.
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like.
And you just before that, you just going through the magazine.
Yeah, I remember I got the Predator from DAI Leisure or whatever it was.
DAI Leisure. Yeah.
Because my granny lived in like near Coventry, and my mum had gone to see her, and she went and picked it up.
Yeah, it's I think it was Grantham or somewhere, or maybe was it Birmingham? Maybe DAI Leisure. Yeah,
I can't remember. I just remember her getting it, and I was like, whoa, this thing's well good.
And then so where do you're in sixth form, and then how do you end up in Sheffield?
So
is that that's a short period of time, I guess, right?
Well, I was so when I changed schools, I ended up going to school with all my mates because they were at the other school, and then that had a really big sixth form, and they all went sixth form, and I went into their sixth form with them, and then I was in my form class was with Mike and Bartlett and a few other people.
All right.
So we were all doing A levels, and I failed my A levels, and Mike and a few other people went off to university, and they went to Leeds, and I was like, shit, what am I going to do? And then I ended up retaking my A levels and did the last year again.
Okay.
Which was pretty shit at the time, but it was pretty humbling because when I become friends with everyone, I was like, I thought they were so fucking cool, and I was like, this is it. I found my place in the world now. And then they were like, some of them were pretty naughty, you know what I mean? We'd go to parties and trash parties, and they'd all be, all the people that we'd been horrible to were in the year below. Oh. And then I'm retaking the year, and then they're all there like, all right, how's it going? All your big mates are gone now, and you've got to fucking hang around. You've got to deal with us, and that was like pretty shit from the beginning. But it was all fine, really. It was a pretty safe environment in hindsight. But some Ryler's, he went to art college in Reading for a year, do a foundation course. So he was around still, and then Bo was riding loads. Bartlett was riding still, and Higgins was riding. So, but I feel like there was more people. But that's when that retaken year when I was 18. That's when I think we started going more places, probably more regularly, and exploring stuff. Even Like we went to like Oxford a little bit,
All
and
right.
just like the whole surrounding area, really, like whatever you could really get to in like a half an hour drive or whatever. But then when I finished my A-levels, I was in that year as well. We started listening to loads of drum and bass and going to loads of raves, and Newbury had like quite a free party culture still from like, I guess, hanging on from the end of the
Rave
90s.
days, yeah.
Rave days. And Bradshaw had given up riding, but he got well into drum and bass, and then Mike was really into drum and bass in Leeds. So we're going to loads of raves, and that was pretty big for us. I started listening to drum and bass loads at that point, and that was pretty good. But then when I finished my A-levels, I was like, oh, I'm gonna, you do, or I did. You went and view a few universities,
Yeah.
and like apply like all that UCAS stuff, and I was like, I've been to Leeds a few times to hang out with Mike, and I was like, oh, I'll just go there, because he's there. It's pretty, there's a skate park in Hyde Park. I can ride that. But then I was like, I went to Sheffield, Hallam, and viewed that, and I was like, oh, this is pretty sick. I kind of preferred it to Leeds, and I was like, and if it's shit, I'll just go to Leeds every weekend and kick it, like hang with my mates there, because like 3 of our mates went, like a couple of skaters as well went to Leeds, so I was like, I already knew people there, and so I applied to go to Sheffield and got in there, and then I moved there in like 2001. 2001.
Had you been to a BMX event at this point?
Oh yeah, I had been to loads.
Really?
Sorry, yeah, we've sort of skipped a bit. I went to Bike 98.
Oh, okay.
So like, I remember like when I was, first year of riding, they'd been to Backyard 97.
Yeah.
And been camping and been in that bottle fight
They've
and
done the
shit.
experience, yeah.
And they got bollocked by Fids.
Oh, really?
I think they were like fucking around with like deodorant and lighters and shit, and he like, I don't know what happened, but they were like, yeah, Fids is a prick. So yeah, they'd been to that, and then they were like, oh, we're all going to go again in 98, but there wasn't one.
Yeah.
But then I've been to the bike show. Sorry, yeah, I'd forgotten about all this. I went to the bike show, and I've been to all the bike shows.
Oh,
went to
right.
98. I went to all of them till like 2002.
Okay.
Because they got like progressively better and better.
Mm.
Like 98 was good, and then
99 was good.
Yeah, like with Rainstra and all them.
Yeah.
Castillo, and then it just got better and better, and then like Lucky was there and Joe Rich, like, I mean, he was at loads of them, but like I think Butcher was at one of them.
Yeah, that's
and I was
right,
like, this is fucking amazing, and I was like well into that by that point. And then I think the last one I went to was when I think that Ruben and John Heaton and like Frymouth, they
Wessel,
got like,
Wessel might have been.
yeah, Wessel was. I think he was at a couple of them. Oh, and I've been to loads. I've been to like, maybe that was a bit later on. I've been to a couple of backyards as well when they started again. No, that was later actually, but yeah, like it was really good. They were amazing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. Status Quo. I remember seeing that.
You was at that one.
Yeah, and I didn't fucking register. I was like, I was like probably 18. I was like, who the fuck is that? Like, I don't care that Status Quo there. Now I think it's hilarious. But and they had like, because they had Cyclone had a thingy, like a stall right next to Custom Riders, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I remember buying a couple of bits in there. But yeah, well. Oh, there was another guy that I went to secondary school with who was really naughty, called Daniel Klukas, and he was into street riding.
All right.
Like, he liked the Gonz and that when I was like 15, 16. And he went to Bike 98, and he asked John Taylor, he's like, where did you get that, the North stick? And he went, the North. And he was just like, fucking wounded, man. He really wanted one. He was like, fuck's sake. But yeah, like they were pretty amazing, really.
Yeah,
like,
progressive events. Yeah.
Yeah, like things were happening there and we went to KOC every year as well. And I entered a KOC.
Okay.
Probably like 2000 or 2001. Oh, this is good actually. You'll like this. So we'd go to KOC, like must have been 99, 2000, 2001, and everyone like we'd either get a lift down off someone's parents or someone would drive down, and then we'd go on Saturday and then go to the nightclub Chaos.
Oh yeah.
Get wasted and then sleep on the beach. I have a fire and sleep on the beach. And then one year I entered, I think it must have been 2000, and none of my other friends were entering. And I think that amateur like street was Sunday morning or something like that. And I didn't have anywhere to, like, I didn't know what to do with my bike, so I took like 5 bike locks or something. And so I didn't know where to lock it, so I was like, I'll just lock it to the skate park, because it's like in that pen, and there's loads of fencing. I was like, I'll just lock it to this. I locked the frame, locked both wheels, locked the bars, basically locked whatever I could. And I came out of Chaos, and someone had nicked my stem. I was like fucking like livid, just fucking going mental. And someone had nicked my fucking. I had a Wrecker headset cup.
Someone had nicked the headset cup?
Someone had nicked my headset cup.
They took your bars and your stem, I take it?
No, they just took the stem because my bars were blocked.
Oh, okay. Fuck it.
And but I was like fucking gutted. And I think anyway, so the next day I bought like I had like a redneck, and I bought some We the People stem and like a new headset, and entered, and I was like obviously shit. Just like did some box jump tricks, and then like tried to 180 the spine, but the spine was like massive, and I basically couldn't pull a rollback, so I just couldn't pull a rollback. And yeah, I was pretty devoed, but I'll come on to the rest of this story in a bit though. Yeah, and then I moved to Sheffield, but just before I moved, I went on like a massive, like had like a last night. Loads of my other friends were going to university that year, so everyone had a big night out, and I got absolutely wasted and lost my bike. Like I remember I'd ridden it. I used to ride it to Mike's house and then walk the rest of the way into town, even though Mike wasn't there, because I was like really good mates with his parents still. And I got wasted and just like had blackout drunkenness, and I went and got my bike and was just like fucking, I don't know what I was doing, but I'd left it somewhere. And I was just like, I remember walking home, I was like, oh, I've got to go get my bike from Mike's house, and went there, I was like, where the fuck is it? And I just left it somewhere in town. So I was like ruined the next day and had to go to like move to go to university, had no bike. I was like, fucking hell, this is well shit. So I got a massive low. And on the way up, Bo rings me, and I was like, "You're right." He goes, "Yeah, I've just caught some kids riding your bike."
No way.
I was like, "Oh my god!" So I was like, started feeling a bit better, and then I think my parents took me up there, and I think it was like my cousin. My cousin was at Sheffield University as well, but like a couple of years above me, and I think they were coming up for. Well, there was like a family event in like the north of England, and they were going to bring my bike up there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I basically moved without a bike for like 3 weeks or a month or something, and then in the first week of, like university is all like that freshers party vibes, and where I lived, I was in these brand new halls that were opposite this club called the Lead Mill, which is like quite a renowned club in Sheffield, like independent club. And because you could hear the nightclub from the halls, they used to give everyone in the halls free tickets. And I was in there, just like with my new flatmates. You don't really have any mates or anything. You're just with the people that you've been lumbered with. And I had like an S&M jumper on, And Benson comes over to me and he's like, "Are you a BMXer?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I've just moved here from Newbury." And he was like, I was chatting to him and he's like, "Do you want to come riding or something tomorrow?" And I was like, "I can't. I've lost my bike." And I think he must have just thought I was a fucking absolute donut. And but he was moving to Bristol at the end of that week because he was going to university there. And I went and found the skate park. Just walked to it one day. I think maybe like 2 days later. But before he went, and he was there. And I just ended up chatting to him for a bit. That's like my first meeting with him, really.
Oh, right.
And but then so just waited a couple of weeks and then got my bike.
What bike was it that you was?
Oh, I bought a.
Is it Devo still?
I know. I'd bought a Volume Compton.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought I cracked the Devo at the back, and Bradshaw worked at this like metal fabrication place, or he did for a little bit, but he had some mates there still, and they welded the Devo back together. Right. And I gave the Devo to Mike. But yeah, I bought a Compton, and I had that for a while. But yeah, and then so
then you're in Sheffield then?
Yeah, I was in Sheffield.
Did you only meet Benson that day at the skate park, or was there other guys there as well?
There was other people there, but like, everyone sits on Cockmaster, and you've got to like cross the skate park to get there. And I didn't really know anyone, so I just sat on the other side, and because I didn't know anyone, and I thought, I felt pretty awkward because I was like, it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
But then I got my bike, and then I just started going to the skate park, and I can't remember how I met him, but I met this guy called Lucian Harris, who was a skateboarder from Plymouth. He was in my halls as well. I can't remember whether I met him at the skate park. I don't know. I can't remember how I met him, but I started hanging around with him a lot, and he was probably like, my best mate at that time. And then I started meeting loads of people at the skate park. I met Ross Payne pretty early, and John, and then there was a lot of people that were riding at that point, but dropped off quite quickly. So then there was this guy called the Southie or the Southerner, rode with him. There was loads of people there, and loads of skaters. Like the scene was pretty thriving at that point. And then, but a lot of people would come from further afield because there wasn't a lot of skate parks around then, and that skate park was quite new. So a lot of people from out of Sheffield would come and ride it. Ross would come in from Rotherham every day to ride that, and he was working in Sheffield as well. But yeah, so that first year was pretty, and then it was riding a bowlhead quite a lot as well. Like, it was pretty sick, to be honest. I remember and there was this guy called James Marples, rode with him quite a bit, or a few times. But yeah, and Bowlhead had moved up from Stourbridge or Stourport, I can't remember where it was, and he was doing at university. And went to Derby Storm maybe quite early days as well with Ross. And Ross kind of introduced me to a lot of people, really.
Oh, right.
He was probably one of the first people to start talking to me at the skate park.
Oh, right.
And I rode with him quite a lot, actually.
And what's the session now? Like, now you've done your first rail and stuff, and you've progressed a bit. Like, the session's obviously different to what they were when you were in Newbury.
Oh yeah, well, it's just rails.
You were chasing rails
even before I moved to Sheffield.
Okay. I
was just gunning for handrails and street, and I tried to do this this kinked chrome handrail in Reading, just absolutely ate shit. I tried to do this rail in Basingstoke. I think Scott did it in the end.
Okay.
Tried that one, ate shit. But I did a bunch of others as well. But yeah, just trying to find rails and do it, or just anything really. Yeah. Any street really. But yeah, the skate park there at Sheffield was pretty good as well. It was really different to Newbury's one. Newbury's was pretty straight, and Sheffield's is more like hips.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like there's a bit more like lateral
cut
movement.
lines there. Yeah.
But there was quite a lot of the older Sheffield guys as well were still riding, and like that guy Ben White was riding quite a bit. He'd be at the skate park quite often, and I can't remember his surname, but this guy Stu on the front brake, he would be there quite often. And Jonna was a bit older than me, he was there. And there was a bit of like G-Sport scene, you know what I mean? There was stuff going on there.
Yeah.
And other people, I can't remember who else, but there seemed to be a lot of people riding. I never really saw G-Sport himself very much. He wasn't at the skate park as much, or maybe he would go there at different times. But it was lit, that skate park. It's lit, so it was like amazing in the winter.
Free for all, yeah.
Yeah, it was really. It's lit till like 10:30 at night, so it'd be really good. But I think I probably just rode quite a bit of the skate park to begin with, and then. But I remember going like, me and Lucian and Boulder were just at my house, my flat once, and we just went riding at like 2 a.m. and just went and rode like Ponds Forge roundabout wall ride, because it was like it's on a fucking really busy main road, so we just like go and ride that.
All right. Is that the one that was on the cover of Bright?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the vibe of the people that you're riding with at the minute? Like you kind of like getting a bit sort of confident with what you're doing, and you starting to point things out that are incorrect on that, or you know what I mean? Like it sounds like you're in that period of time, or just everyone. Like that, I know that scene like was the same as any scene. You know, like scenes as they develop and as they get like people get better, they start like saying, well, we're not doing it like that. We're going to do it like this. Like when did that start? Sort of.
I think a bit later on.
Okay, so it's still quite fresh at the minute.
Yeah, still pretty like
still buzzing on everything.
All inspiring. Like,
yeah. Okay.
Oh wow, you can do that. Like I was pretty peg orientated at this point, and then I mean I was for ages, but people there would have no pegs, and I'd be like, whoa, they're doing that.
Yeah.
Like I thought, like a lot of pedal grinds going down. Like Bowlhead was doing, there's like stuff that I wouldn't even consider doing.
Yeah.
Because I was just all about pegs really and jumping tricks, but they were doing like pedal grinds and stuff, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And yeah, still pretty like.
You're still keen,
Still very very keen. I don't think I thought things were bad at that point. But yeah, just sort of like, exploring the world, like going to like drum and bass nights every week, and going, just like.
Soaking it all
soaking everything up, and riding a lot, because the university course was like I was in there every day, but you'd be finished by 3.
Yeah,
it was never like hardly ever finished at 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
so you'd just be riding quite a lot. But yes, like the sessions like were pretty friendly. Like the skate park was a bit of a. There was quite a lot of robberies happening there. Like there was like a big Somali like contingency in the estate next to it, and they'd come and like try and flex on people quite a lot. So it was quite like united. People were like everyone was pretty friendly to each other. There was none of that like BMXer versus skater stuff. It was like
us versus them.
Yeah, it was. Everyone was quite tight knit. At that point, I think it probably said, well, I don't know, it could not be like that, I don't know. But yeah, I remember being like, there were some big personalities down there. I remember that there were some big skater personalities down there. I was like, fucking hell, let's stay out of his way.
Yeah.
Like, when before you know them, and then they're like, once they start saying all right to you, then it's all good, really, isn't it? But yeah, I was going, then like, we'd started, I was really into drum and bass, but I'd started going to like the rock nightclub there, like Corporation, and then you'd see people from the skate park in there.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, this is pretty cool. And I remember meeting Ross introduced me to Ernie as well.
All right.
And I remember I was like seeing him in Dig, and I was like, fucking hell, man! I was like, can you introduce me? He was like, yeah, no, I can introduce you, mate. But yeah, that was kind of it for the first sort of year or so.
And and then the next year, did you meet other people the next year? Or people moved?
Sorry, I've got distracted. Yeah.
Who have you met at this point in time? Have you met Joe and Dan Cox?
No. They didn't live there at that point.
Okay.
So, in that first year, I met Lucy and Bartlett, and I was hanging around with them a lot. And
Benson.
I'd met Benson, but he'd moved. So I didn't really. I'd probably only met him like twice or three times. He came back a bit, but I didn't see him a huge amount. And then I'd met a couple of people like Derby Storm, like Wakey, and a few of them like Ripley. And I'd met Nurick because Bartlett knew like NSF was like.
Yeah, was a thing.
It was big. It was like coming up, and I watched NSF 1, and I'd met Nurick, and I knew all about that stuff. And then Bartlett was mates with Rob 8, and I'd met Rob a few times, and he'd like ridden with him a bunch of times. And once our halls, you have to move out in the July.
Yeah.
So me and Lucy and Bartlett decided to get a place, and then Bartlett said that Rob was going to move to Sheffield. So then that was us 4, and then me, Bartlett and Lucy found the house we were and we signed for that.
All right.
And then we moved in there in July, and that was like the Hate House.
Oh, okay. Well, where was Rob from then?
He's from Hereford.
All right. I didn't know that.
But he was in. He'd gone to university in Stoke, I think. But I think I'd gone. He'd left that course, and he moved up to Sheffield. And then that was the first 8 hours. But he didn't. He wasn't a student. Like, all three of us, Bartlett, me and Lucy were students, and Rob wasn't. So he didn't have any like student loan or anything. So Jersey moved in and shared a room. Mike Taylor moved in and shared a room with Rob. So they shared a room, and then for that summer, and I'd gone back to Newbury for the summer because I was like, I didn't have any money, and I was just like, I had all from my youth, I had like a job, and I went back to my job at home base, and I was working there. And then when I came back in like September to start the second year of university, Jersey was there maybe there was a few weeks when we were all there, but Jersey was still there, but he was going to move back to Warrington, and Joe had moved down because he was mates with Rob. And he was going to share Rob's room, and then that was us 5 for like the next year. And then, but I just like got like Joe was like. I just got on real well with him, and then that was like the beginning of my friendship with him. Then we were like really, really good friends for like basically the whole time I lived in Sheffield after that. And we just explored. Like we rode the skate park a lot, but we just started exploring everywhere at that point. Not everywhere, but like what felt like everywhere. And we'd like ride out to like, we've heard something's up there. Let's go and have a look. And just started exploring loads. And in that year, they were filming for NSF 2.
All right.
And Joe had a camera, and Rob had a camera, and then we started like Joe was already like had like quite a bit of footage ready, and most of it was happening in Newcastle, and because Joe is from Durham, he was like he's close there, and he had a camera, and then he'd just be filming stuff for that, and then that first year of the Hay House was, fucking pretty sick. Like, I think we started getting like noticed started popping up in mags. I think Bartlett had been in Dig or Ride, and then in that winter, like probably 2002, 2002, 2003. I think Ricky Adam came and he wanted to shoot something. Oh no, that was after that. So like NSF2 came out, and there was like, we'd probably been riding like the Hate House, like probably 6 months of the original Hate House. All the footage went towards NSF2.
Okay.
But it was like, so Jersey had a part on that, and there was a good bit of footage from him in that period. And Joe quite a bit, me a little bit, Bartlett, Roche a bit, Ernie quite a bit. And then that video came out, and I think Ricky Adam had just moved to Leeds, and then he came down to shoot some stuff with Joe and Bartlett. But Bartlett had started like dropping off in the first year of the Hate House because I think it was pretty fucking intense place to live.
Oh, right.
And I think we were probably being pretty horrible to him, to be honest, because we were always in, or either in the house or out riding, and that was it. Or like, I guess I've been at university, but Joe and Rob, they were just riding, and Bowled, and we would always be together, like that crew. And if you weren't there, you'd probably getting rinsed.
Trashed.
You'd get trashed, yeah. Okay. And there was like, stupid shit like washing up routines, like rotors and shit. Yeah. Like, it's your turn today, and Bowler just wouldn't be there. Be like, fucking hell, like, why is he not here? And we just like go and put the dirty dishes in his bed and shit like that, and like all stupid shit like that. And I think Bowler was just like, this is probably a bit too much for me. So Ricky came, and he was like, he wanted to shoot with Joe and Bowled, but Bowled, he wasn't really riding. So me and Joe went to meet Ricky, and I think Joe's bike broke or something like that, and he had to go back to the house, and I was left with Ricky at the skate park, and that's when I shot that, or he shot that X up to fakie.
Okay.
And I think maybe that was no.
But had Joe not been in the mag at this point either?
I think later that day he went and did that Smith on Pons Forge Amrail.
Okay.
And I think that was maybe one of his first pictures.
All right.
When I can't really remember, but because he was a bit more advanced than I was, and he definitely had shot more, because he'd come to shoot Joe really, and I was just there, as opposed to like, he hadn't really come to shoot with me.
How was that, getting in the mag the first time?
Yeah, like amazing. Yeah, and like being on NSF2 was like, couldn't believe it. Yeah, like I'd been a massive like video like follower,
Buff,
like I loved it. I loved watching videos.
And that was the first one you was in, NSF2.
I think that, and like Clicked 8.
Oh, you was in Clicked as well?
Yeah, I think Rob had sent some footage to Clicked, or maybe Joe, one of them too. But yeah, I was like, it was like a dream come true. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I felt like, I felt like my honour was. I felt like, fucking hell, this is amazing. I couldn't believe it. Oh, I just remembered a bit actually. So in that first year, when I was living in the halls, I was telling Bowled about my stem getting nicked at King of Concrete, and he just starts laughing. I'm like, what's so funny? He's like, Ross has got your stem. So I think the next time I saw him, I was like, that's my stem, innit? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I'll be having that back then. He was like, yeah, here you go.
What about the head take up?
I don't know where the wrecker had gone. I was pretty wounded still. But yeah, so NSF2 come out, and then that was probably like late 2002 or early 2003, and there was a premiere for that in Sunderland that we all went up for, and in the first year of the Hate House, Rhys came to stay with Lucian because he knew him from Plymouth.
All right.
And then first time I met Rhys, and like that was pretty good. Like I think he was quite into like the street riding scene as well. So it's kind of quite funny to have someone from Lucian's area come up to see him. And then I think
I'm piecing this together. Rhys is the cause of this. Rhys is the person who's planted the attitude seeds in that house, isn't it?
Oh no, that was.
Oh, are you already going at this point? Okay.
This is when it probably started because. Yeah, I don't think it's to do with Rhys.
Okay.
I think we were.
You planted the seeds within him.
Maybe, I don't know. I think because before we had the house, like it was all still pretty like, there's different riding styles were around. But then once me and Joe had almost exactly the same bike setup. So did Rob.
Yeah.
Bartlett was like, he didn't, but we were
similar vibe.
Yeah, pretty similar vibe. Like really like into street riding and. Yeah, I think we were like, we watched The Shining, the film a lot.
All right.
And through the winter, we didn't have anything to do, and it was too wet to ride or too cold, like too wet so you couldn't ride. So we just like got cabin fever, and we're just like, just start binning things.
Yeah.
Or like
just start letting out. Yeah, let it out.
Yeah, and. Yeah, probably, and I think we got a bit better. We were starting to do things. We were doing stuff that was happening
in the mags.
Well, no, things like what we were doing were in the mags.
Yeah, okay.
But we weren't in the mags doing it. Right. We could do the stuff that was in mags.
Yeah.
And on videos, and we were like, well, I don't know. It's hard to speak for everyone else, but I was probably thinking, why aren't we in the mags?
Yeah.
Why are we not getting that coverage? But who would know?
Yeah.
Like, who would know? Like, oh, they can do those tricks.
That's what everyone thinks that though. Like,
yeah.
But when you get to a certain standard and you're looking at I can do that.
Yeah.
It's a normal thing to think. I think. Yeah.
And you look at other people and think, why are they riding for them?
Yeah.
Like, or you'd look at. Say if you watch someone's section and you're like, they're not going to be proud of every single clip that's in that video.
Yeah.
They're not going to be like, oh, that should be in there. They're probably going to think, oh fucking hell, why is that in there? why so-and-so put that in there? I wish that wasn't in there. And I'd be thinking, what the fuck is that in there? That's shit. I could have done that. That's fucking garbage. But like, so there was probably quite a lot of that going on, and but at this point, people are starting to get coverage, and I think in 2003, Lard he started coming to Sheffield, and I think it was then anyway, because there was a Sheffield scene report in Ride, and I thought that was pretty like wicked.
Yeah.
Like, we were all in that. Like Joe, like Alan was on the cover doing that backwards rail. The red backwards rail.
Oh yeah, okay. Was that like the square rail, was it?
No, it was round.
I can't remember that cover.
So
Lard came and they knew that shit was going on in Sheffield at this point. Was Joe filming for Voices at this point?
No. That was later. I think it's probably to do with like NSF2 coming out, and I think I don't know, but I guess what I don't know.
It's happening. Isn't
it's
it?
happening.
Like,
I don't know how the grapevine's working. But I think someone must have. I don't even remember my first meeting with Lard, but he started coming up, and loads of people had pictures in that issue. Like I think Benson was in the contents. Joe had a picture. I had a picture. Nurik had a picture. a bunch of people.
A bunch of people who'd never been in the mag before got their first pictures in that feature.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Like Nurek had been in before because there was that NSF road trip.
Yeah.
And he was in that.
Yeah.
And a few other. Benson was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That must have been 2001.
I can't remember what that was, but is that one the cover shot of the volley on the wall?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'd started to I had stopped paying as much attention because I was like gone massively into drum and bass.
Yeah.
And like I'd stopped checking every single mag, and then when I got to Sheffield, I'm pretty sure that mag was already out.
Okay.
So that had already happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Sheffield scene in Ride was pretty wicked. And then after the first year of the Hate House, Rob moved home and Bartlett didn't want to live with us anymore. So then Joe, Lucian and me, Lucian knew this other skater called Dill, and he moved in with us into the second Hate House.
Okay.
Which was like just a bit further up the road, but slightly nicer. And then I think Dan Cox, Joe's brother, he started because he'd come to the Hate House a few times. Like a few of them, the people like Joe's mates from Durham.
Yeah.
Like so obviously his brother, and then Tom Roberts, and this guy called Dickie, and a few other people had started coming. I'd come to see him and ride.
Yeah.
And a few, like, a bunch of other people, like, people were coming from all over, like, Matty Glover from Liverpool would come a bit, and a couple of other, like, Scousers. And then, anyway. But, so, we moved into the second Hate House, and Dan moved to Sheffield, and I think Blythe moved that year as well.
Okay.
So then there was just like a lot of the people that I'd ridden with in the first year had kind of stopped.
All right. So Blythe moved to Sheffield?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
I think he moved in 2003.
All right.
Because, but yeah, a lot of the people that I'd originally ridden with in Sheffield either weren't riding very much or had moved.
Yeah.
Like Roche had moved to Bristol with Benson. Like Jonna had kind of stopped riding. Southie had moved south.
So it's changing. Yeah.
It's changing, yeah. Until it's sort of changing from the people that I originally ridden with to like more like the people that were in Voices.
Yeah.
And then, I think we just sort of just riding a lot, like loads, like all the time, every day. And there was, I think once NSF2 come out, I can't remember his name, what's the guy that did Soul? Is it Thomas Stellwag or something like that?
No. Is it Ben? Is it Ben something?
I can't remember. But he reached out to Joe and said, can you film something for Soul?
Okay.
And then we started filming for that.
Oh, the German. I thought you meant the French magazine. It might be Thomas Stellwag, yeah.
I think it was, right. Yeah, the video magazine, yeah. So, that he started filming for that, and I think he got robbed by the Somalians at the skate park, and his camera got nicked.
Oh, okay.
Because he had this little square one, and then when he got his first student loan, he bought that the XM1 Canon that you've got. He bought one of them, and then he started filming for the Soul video.
All right.
It was like it's like a Sheffield section. It was like two songs long or something.
Okay.
So everyone was riding for that. And then I think, I can't remember what was happening with the mags. Like we were just riding a lot. I think Ricky would be there sometimes.
Now it's out there, isn't it? There's a scene report, there's video footage, and like people know, like, so the media knows, don't it? Even it takes a bit of time sometimes to catch on, but now they know. So that.
Oh, and Joe had a sturdy wrists.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In Dig,
because he had a cover of Dig, didn't he?
It was in that one.
Okay, that one. Yeah. All right.
At the warehouse.
And that was pre-Voices.
That was pre-Voices.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember. No, I think that's a bit crossover.
Okay.
Because he did that backwards rail was in Dig, wasn't it? That big double kinker.
I can't remember. I just remember seeing the cover the other day and being like, oh, I didn't know that was Joe Cox. Yeah.
That must have been a bit later. But I think Ricky came to shoot Blythe as well. I think Blythe's sturdy wrists
that's right.
was before Voices, because none of that stuff's in Voices.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I finished university in 2004 and then stayed on another year. Like got a job at this place called Ant Marketing, and then doing like telesales. I was shit at that and couldn't handle it, and then got a job at Subway and worked there. Much better. Yeah, making sandwiches for like the last year of living there.
Well, and that's when you was filming Voices. You was doing that job.
Yeah.
So, what was the? Do you know what the like vision of Voices was? Like, what was the? Just like we're all here. We're killing it. We should film it.
I think
I
think once the Soul thing was out, the camera was. Joe would always have his camera with him at that point. So we just started. You'd just be filming. And then he was. I remember someone saying, "What are you filming for?" And he was like, "I'm going to make my own video." And then it was just Joe's video for a long time until he made that first advert. And then I don't think I even knew that it was called Voices until that first advert came out.
What was the first advert?
I think he just released it on the internet.
Okay.
Like Street Fire or something.
Oh, I didn't even. I don't think I even saw it.
So and that started, and like summer 2004 to summer 2005. It was
there was a year,
yeah.
You
for me, it was less than a year.
Okay.
But yeah, because I remember we went and rode this school in near Alex in Mcmurray. And did loads of that's where I did that overcrook and the X-Pegs the bar spin, and that was in October of 2004. But we'd already started filming by that point.
Okay.
And then Josh, because Josh wasn't really, because he's a few years younger than me.
Yeah.
He wasn't really riding at the skate park with my first few years there.
All right.
Like he came around a bit later on. I mean, I'm sure he was, he was riding, but just not there so
somewhere
much.
Else, yeah.
And then it's sort of everyone was there really then at that point. Like Benson had moved back because he'd finished university.
Okay.
But I've been to stay with him a couple of times in Bristol.
Okay.
Yeah, I really liked riding in Bristol. It was really good. Stayed with him and Rhys a few times there. That was good.
Did everyone who was everyone was obviously bouncing off each other when you're filming for Voices. As you got into a bit further into collecting the footage, did everyone know that it was going to be a bit of a big thing?
Yeah, I think so.
I assume that everyone would have known
because it started coming out in mags and stuff. That year was 2005 was probably one of the best years. For me riding.
Everyone's blossoming, aren't they?
Yeah, everyone's really coming. We went to Barcelona in January 2005.
All right.
That was covered in ride.
Yeah, I remember it. Yeah.
and then Lard, I think, had moved to Sheffield by this point. Yeah, because he was with us in Barca.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd moved. He must have moved in 2004. And then it was the Battle Royale was later in, like, Easter, like this time of year.
Was that the first Battle Royale?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Newcastle.
All right.
And then, yeah, I was like, and then me and Benson had decided to move to London, like, in when my tenancy ran out in Sheffield.
All right.
In like July. So I was just fucking riding loads and loads around that point. Like that year, that half year was probably like the best year for riding for me, really.
And how was when Voices like dropped? How like everyone got sponsored? You didn't get sponsored straight away.
Yeah, it wasn't straight. A few people like Joe had been picked up already.
Blythe maybe. Oh, Joe was already on Sunday.
No, he'd been picked up by like Snafu.
Oh.
And I think Ian had flowed him a federal frame.
Okay.
Because he had a no, that was a Shaman, wasn't it? Yeah, he had that standard Shaman. Was it a Shaman? I can't remember. The one that was like Bobby Fischer's frame.
I think it was a Shaman, yeah.
He rode that, and then I think that either broke or he I think Ian gave him a federal.
All right.
And then he was riding that. But yeah, like the thing is, it got premiered at the Sheffield Battle Royale, but it didn't come out until probably about 6 months after that.
I saw it
at Brighton.
At the Backyard Jam.
Yeah, that was a bit late. That was in like, because I was living in London by that point.
Yeah. Yeah, what? Oh, so was it that late, was it? I can't remember which one it was, but I remember seeing it. Like, it was all stuff that I didn't know about, so it was being pretty impressive. But that was like everyone had seen all of those guys for the first time actually ride and not just see the photos, you know.
Yeah,
and it
was quite good that way because you saw the pictures, then you saw the footage afterwards.
And it was different. It wasn't like America. It was its own thing. It wasn't like this is just copying what's going on in New York or wherever. It was totally its own thing. It wasn't trying to be something else, and it just worked. I thought.
Yeah,
I thought it worked really well. And that it had a lot of impact to me personally, and I don't really pay much attention to that sort of riding. Do you know what I mean? But I was like, fucking hell, this is like, there's loads of shit on there that I've never seen before, and it was from the UK, and I just thought it was fucking cool, and it was its own thing, which was pretty impressive, wasn't it, to be able to do that? Like, how old was you guys at that point?
I was 22, and.
Was Joe the same age?
He's maybe 18 months younger than me.
Okay, so it's fucking good then, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he did like amazing job, really. Like, it was all like, you know, in his head, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
And but it's quite mental to have that many riders all coming up together at the same time. You know, like, there's probably like 7 parts on that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't often get like 7 riders of... You know, who are all coming up together, living in the same place, being able to do that.
All on the same path.
Yeah, it's quite mental, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, for getting hooked up, I think, everyone did, didn't they?
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like mine was probably a bit later.
I thought it was fast, but maybe not. Maybe it just seemed fast, because I didn't know too much about it, but...
Well, it's probably because I moved here in 2005 and I didn't get hooked up.
Yeah, you wasn't on tip when you moved here originally, was you?
Until the summer of 2006.
Okay.
Because I had like an STA, that red STA, and I cut the gusset out of that and it snapped. Obviously, smart move. I heard Yurik had done it and I was like, oh, that's cool. I should do the same, and then backfired. But yeah, like our bikes living in Sheffield was so fucked.
Yeah.
Like it was awful. Like had like the worst stuff, but it just you couldn't afford to get anything else, and there'd just be like old stuff hanging around the house all the time. So you'd be like, oh, let's try and put that on and see if it'll work, or like.
Yeah. Do you think anyone got egos off of that video?
Yeah, I mean, I probably did.
You did, yeah.
Probably. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like,
it's hard. I mean, if you're 22 as well, it's hard not for that not to affect you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, I always had a pretty big mouth, to be honest. I remember, like, when I was buzzing when that Barcelona mag came out because I was on the cover of that, and I was like, I had no idea that was coming.
All right.
And then, I was like, couldn't believe it. And then I won like most valuable player at the Battle Royale. And I was like fucking buzzing about that as well. And then, like I didn't know that I was going to have last section. I remember like when me and Benson moved down, I was like, who do you think's going to have last section? He was like, you. I was like, what about Josh? I was like, I don't think he's got enough footage. So yeah, I was like, and like riding there, you just sort of know that. I don't know. I probably knew, or like I thought I was probably like good.
Yeah.
At this point, I kind of like figured I was good.
Yeah.
Like I was doing stuff that I knew other people couldn't do.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think only Edwin had done like an X-rail to Barsman at that point. And I was like, no one's done that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody, maybe like, not that I knew of, had done like an overcrook on a handrail.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
I've done that.
Yeah.
Like even if it was on that shitty, that small handrail, like, I've done big stuff. Like started doing like big bar spins, and no one was really doing that. Really.
Yeah.
I was probably only like 6 months or 2 or 3 months ahead of the trend, but
but still ahead nonetheless. You still know, don't you? If you're in it that deep, you know what's going on. So
yeah.
Was this? When did the Will Jackson thing happen? Was that whilst filming for Voices?
I think it was actually before, because Joe did that montage on NSF2, and then
is that where it come from? Like the NSF2 footage is what sort of sparked that? Yeah, that thing. Okay.
Yeah. And then that We the People video came out before Voices, like good 18 months before that. But yeah, we were like just like doing shit like we had like band lists and shit that we'd put on the like in the window in the house and stuff, like this stuff's banned. Like I don't fucking like. I know like Ali Whitten was on there, and like Will Jackson's helmet and shit like that. So like there was just like ridiculous shit written down on this list that I probably did, or like I don't know, whoever did.
Yeah,
like we were just doing stupid shit. Like I remember we were at the house once when we moved to the second Hate house. To get to it, you had to go down, like, there'd be 4 terraced houses, and you walk down this alley in the middle, and then you go past someone's house, and then you get to your house, like, round the back of it.
Yeah.
And some people, like, it was just, like, the meeting place. Like, people would come and call on you and be like, oh, are you coming out? Or, like, people, after going to the nightclub, everyone would be there.
Yeah.
Like, and I think Alan had painted his bike in the garden, like, spray painted it, but he'd done it on the other people's garden.
All right.
And there was like fucking spray paint all over their flagstones. And this, like, one day, like, I think Jersey was staying with us. And one of the neighbours knocked on and be like, your bikes are all in our garden and there's spray paint all on our flagstone. And we were like, whatever, like, like, you know what I mean? Like Kevin and Perry, like, whatever. And, so we moved the bikes, and then we started drinking to go to go out that night, and Jersey just got a spray can and she wrote Cox on our flagstones with an arrow to their house. And I was like, we were like all laughing about it. Next day, the geezer knocks on the door. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" Like, he's knocking on the door, and I'm sat there, like, you can see, like, you knock on the door here, and you're like looking at it there, and I'm like, "Oh fuck's sake!" I'm like, "Damn, get the door!" And the guy's like, "What the fuck is this?" And I could hear him having a go at Dan. I was like, "What's the problem?" And he's like, "What? You've written Cox on the floor, pointing to our house." We were like, "Yeah, they're on our flagstones." We were like, "Oh fuck!" And I was like, "Yeah, we'll sort it out." Like, fuck off or whatever. So then, I think Jersey just changed it so it said socks. So we were just like doing all this stupid shit, and like, you know, it just escalates.
Then you end up with a BMX list.
Yeah, and then, but yeah, so, you know, think we'd probably say shit to each other in the house. Like, you know, say if I'm talking to Joe about like, Will Jackson's done this thing, and he's like, you know, it's sort of behind closed doors, isn't it?
Yeah,
the conversation, but then it spills out.
Yeah.
And I obviously, like, it got my back up, like, pretty badly at the time. So yeah, he was on like an X list for me for a while. But, you know.
But what, like, looking back at that now, like, how bad did it get? Like,
oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I called him up. Like, I think when I was doing my interview for Ride, like, I called him up and was like, "You fucking snake, Joe. Like, what the fuck are you doing?" Like, just shit like that.
Yeah.
Not, like, just stupid, really.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I called him. I definitely called him once, probably more. I don't know.
Okay. What about, like, looking back at it now as an adult? Like, what do you reckon? Don't care.
Oh, I mean, like, yeah, it's pretty. Like, if I'd had a problem with him, I probably should have just said it to him, like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Like, I'd met him before.
Yeah.
Like, I should have been like,
I thought
that wasn't the smartest move, but
Okay.
I mean, it was probably more in our, like, can't believe Will Jackson did that.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably a bit like, because he was riding for someone and we were all like,
Yeah.
not riding for anyone, especially like before Voices,
Yeah.
like, no one had any hookups or anything, and we were like, Will Jackson's he's riding for We the People,
Yeah.
but he's just ripped off what you did.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he did it,
Yeah.
like, so that probably a bit of it as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know, what did it look like from...
I didn't know much about it, but I'd just heard whispers and stories over the years. I didn't really know. I'd only heard secondhand. But yeah, I didn't. I knew that something happened.
I read something in a mag. Like, I did a jam review of the Boneyard,
Okay.
and like he was there, and he did something, and I was like, yeah, he did this, but it wasn't that fresh or something like that. Like, just like snidey reporting on him, basically. But he wasn't really out, like, no one from that. He was maybe he was, but I don't remember him being at like Battle Royale and stuff. Like, it's quite weird that like Will Jack, like, what was it called, a Hard Dad scene, wasn't really like involved with like NSF or like.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
different scene though, wasn't it?
It was different, yeah. But I guess kind of similar in a way, like street riding, like reckless street riding. But yeah, I don't remember seeing him at like Battle Royale or any of the other sort of like events.
Battle Royale was quite like, it was only certain people that were going to go to that, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I would have thought, I thought, yeah, I mean, no. Street riders.
Yeah, but I definitely see that as like that was a new movement.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Like, it was a new movement, and not like, that didn't attract many people that weren't tightly within that scene.
Yeah, I guess I was, so it was pretty much well on my radar.
Yeah, but when you because you think, I went to the one in London. Remember they did one up here.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was definitely like yeah, it was. It seemed to me like that was the same people in London, for the most part, that was at the one in Sheffield or Newcastle. You know, it was the same people. They just travelled to that event.
Yeah, probably. No, there was much more southern people there.
You'll get a few,
there.
but for the most part, it was like people travelling to that event. That's from what I could see anyway.
Yeah.
It was like there was something. It was good. There was something going on that was drawing those people out. So that really like served the purpose, I thought. But it was definitely like for the people that were deep within that scene. Yeah. So that's what I could understand how those guys didn't go. I thought it was worse than that, but yes, it's not.
Maybe it was. I imagine if you asked Will Jackson, he'd probably say more. It was, you know, like my memory's not that good, and I was probably the one dishing it out as opposed to receiving it.
Yeah. I saw he had an edit up semi-recent. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, it's pretty
amazing.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Definitely better than me now.
Yeah. So we're living in London, yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything else I've missed about the other stuff?
Not that I can think of. We touched upon most of it. Sheffield Battle Royal. You done that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Like, I was living down here by that point, and we went back up.
Oh, it was here, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we went back up because that was the the Sheffield Battle Royale and the Prem of Voices.
Okay.
That. And they had like a. But yeah, that was good. I didn't really ride that. I just rode the Cockmaster comp at that part.
Okay. Yeah. So then you moved to London. Like, what prompted that? Like you have a job here already or something?
No. I don't really know. Thinking about it now, I think because I was working at Subway. It wasn't exactly like a career move, and I'd done like a physics degree, and I wanted to get a career style job. I couldn't really find anything in Sheffield at the time because I don't know. I probably wasn't looking very hard, but and I that year of filming with Voices, I became really, really good friends with Benson, and he was like, I'm going to move down, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that as well. So we came in. I came down in May, and rode with Joe Fox a little bit over a weekend, and it was just like. It was like a really hot weekend. I was like, this is fucking sick, man. This place is amazing. So decided, I think I just thought like there must be so much street there as well.
Yeah.
Like there didn't seem to be much like street riding coming out of London. Like there'd been Joe Fox's bit on like No Front Teeth. But I just thought there must be more, and I was really into like the New York like animal scene, and I thought it would be like New York.
Where it is,
It pretty much is. Like it's difficult to know what I was thinking, but yeah, I moved down, and my dad he worked for this like ceiling tile company, and they didn't have warehouses, so they had a bit of warehouse space in someone else's warehouse in Greenford, and he was like, I can get you like a little bit of work there. So me and Benson went and we like unloaded a lorry or like a container, like a shipping container of all this stuff, and then they're like, actually, do you want to pack these boxes for like a month or something afterwards? And we were like, yeah, definitely. But we moved down in that weekend. We went and Benson knew this girl called Laura Oates from Sheffield, and she lived in Hackney Wick, and she was moving. So she was like, "Do you want to move in? You two move in with me in Hackney Wick." So we went and viewed this warehouse in Hackney Wick, and we were like, "Yeah, let's." Didn't really know what we were doing, but we'll move there in July, and then. So we moved in July, and then it was like an empty warehouse.
Yeah.
So then there was like 2 mezzanine floors, and because Laura found it, she got one, and then I don't know how, but Benson decided, they got them.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, we'll chip in and build a bedroom for me. So then I don't even know how we did it, but me and Benson bought like all the timber and plasterboard and built a bedroom
Wow.
for me to live in.
That's when Hackney Wick was still grimy, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that. I mean, it's just like...
It's just industrial. It's not like now,
yeah.
is it? Like now, if you go there now, it's like it's different.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most changed places
Yeah.
I know around here, really. And then I remember we didn't start work straight away. Like I think I'd saved up a little bit of money, and I got a little bit of money from somewhere. I think my dad had given. He's like, I've got this account that's got like a couple of like $1,000 in. You can have that. It's like been in like, I think he'd been putting like a little bit away for me for like, since I was born or something. So he's like, there's a little bit of money, and you can work for this guy Jerry in Greenford for a little bit. So then, yeah, we moved down on, the weekend. It was like the very beginning of July, and then my mate Ryler's, who I started riding with, him and his girlfriend came to stay because he had like a graduates exhibition at the Business Design Centre in Islington, and it was on like a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then we went drinking afterwards, and the next day, they'd won the Olympics that week, and then the couple of days later was the London bombings.
Yeah, 7/7.
And we were like, what the fuck? And Ryler's and they couldn't go. They couldn't go home back to Newbury because everything was fucked. And it was like, oh my God, this is fucking mental. And I just remember that summer being like really hot. Like it felt mental. Like I was like, this is so much hotter than it had been in Sheffield. And it just like the city is so sprawling compared to Sheffield. Like Sheffield's kind of, I don't know, it felt a bit greener. I guess probably because it gets a bit more rainfall. Like the parks are greener. In London, the parks go like pretty barren in the summer. And so then it was pretty mental. And then Ratty and Cookie came down for a week. Like they came down for a week, and then everyone from Sheffield came for like still filming for Voices.
Oh, right.
Like it was around my birthday, like near the end of July, and then there was more bombings, wasn't there? There was more threats of bombings.
Yeah.
And then we were out riding when that was going on. There was just fucking sirens constantly wherever we were, loads and loads of sirens. And we rode like those ledges in Edgware Road, and we rode that they're gone pretty soon after that. Those rails on Pentonville Road.
Oh yeah.
They were. I wish I'd ridden them more actually.
They were there forever, and no one touched them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they Cookie X pegs one. I think Blythe did like pegs Manny 180 on another. But yeah, and then that so.
Did you have like when you moved to London? Did you think that? Oh, I wonder what like the rest of. Did you know the London scenes and stuff and what was going on down here? Or, no,
not really.
You just moved here fresh.
I mean, I knew Jai Fox a little bit.
Yeah,
that was it really. So
it was completely fresh to you. You didn't even really know what was going on down here.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I didn't know where. I mean, at that point, there weren't really very many skate parks. There was like
there weren't many at all. Yeah.
I mean, I knew about Stockwell.
Yeah.
Because I think that there'd been a big coverage in Stockwell.
That's right,
because Taliban was in that. But no, I didn't really know anything. And then I remember Benson. He'd gone riding somewhere without me, and he'd met Jack Bender and Tom.
Oh, okay.
Thingy Crow.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember when, but Owen moved pretty soon after, and he was only around the corner with Jack, and I
that's
rode
right,
with
yeah.
I rode with Jack quite a bit
Okay.
to begin with because it just like was really local, and then I met Taliban and rode with Joe Fox quite a bit, even though we were on the opposite ends of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Taliban, and then met Jenkins pretty quickly, and Richie moved as well. Richie moved there,
Okay.
and then was
Then
right.
the new crew, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, new crew.
Yeah.
But it sounds difficult to not sound disrespectful, but because I thought it'd just be like in Sheffield, like, but the level of riding wasn't as high as that. But it was different, and I think that's good. Like I probably needed, I don't know, felt good to be a different change.
Yeah.
Like,
and did you start filming for that first video like as soon as you got here, or that took
no,
so we got on fit first? Yeah.
no,
You was filming Nang before you got on fit.
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I carried on working at that warehouse until like January or February 2006, and it was like it was really shit. Like there wasn't really enough work for me to do. Like there was this guy that basically did the job, and then I was just like scratching around trying to find something to do.
Yeah.
And they kind of noticed and were like, you know, we got to let you go. And I was like, that's fair enough. But there was all the there were a few things happened, didn't they? Like there was, I got picked up by mass transit through DFTU.
Okay.
They had like a trip here, and a bunch of people came down. Like so, DFTU Steve and Baz and Cookie and Ratty and Mouse and Dan Cox got picked up by them as well. And so that happened, and that was like filming for Miscellaneous. And then H-Man came down like to shoot it, and I think Rhys was here as well, and like Will Herman, I remember. And then I got let go from that place, and then I went on the dole, and Jack had got let go from, I think he was working at Hurley.
Okay.
And me and him were on the dole together. And then I was like, I need to get a camera, because I thought I'd be able to film. I thought, because when Owen moved, he had a Canon. I was like, oh, we can I can film with him. But then it didn't really work out that way, because I was always either working at the warehouse and he'd be done by the time I got back, and it was winter, and then he moved back to Chester. And then I was like, I need to get a camera, and I just started looking on eBay, and I bought a VX1000 on a credit card. I bought it in Manchester. Like I bought it on eBay. I was in Sheffield. I can't remember because I was going to go. There was a battle royale in Liverpool, and I think I went with Alex and Alan from Sheffield. And then we went via Manchester and picked up this camera from this lady that I bought it off on eBay. And then that's when when I got back, I started filming for Nang. But yeah, so then, just started filming 2006 for that, and probably filmed for about a year, maybe a little bit more.
So you got unfit halfway through that?
Oh, right. So, yeah, I started riding with John Gorrigan quite a lot as well. Sorry, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Because Benson knew him from living in Bristol.
All right.
And yeah, he was riding quite a bit. And then all the people he was friends with, like Johnny B and Dave Ferret and Paul, BBC Paul.
Yeah.
And I'd met you a little bit as well at like a ROM jam.
Yeah, that's
that was
it.
2005 still. And I'd come to dig at the spot once or twice, but I didn't really like riding the spot at that point. And I think, I don't know but we'd become friends with Robin. I don't know how or when, but obviously he's cool. And I've been riding with Robin in London, and what's his name? Carhart James.
Oh right, yeah.
Met him through like that whole like Bond scene.
Yeah.
In town. And then I've been riding with Robin a couple of times, and I think we've gone to Bristol or something as well. And my bike was pretty fucked at this point. Like I'd cracked the STA, and then Dan gave me his old like Mutiny frame, but I wasn't really getting along with that well. And then Carhart James gave me his old PBR.
Okay.
And I rode that for a while, but I think I had bent bars or something. And I remember, and Robin was like, he's really good. He was on like through 70s, like on a few brands. And I was in Sheffield, and I got a call, and it was like, all right, Marv, and I was like, you all right? Who's this? He's like, it's Mad John. I was like, oh, you're right. How's it going? And I think I must have met him at some point before. And he was like, Robin told me you've got bent bars. And I was like, yeah, I think they might be. And he's like, what have you got? And I was like, I think they're T1 bars. He's like, do you want a new pair? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then he sent me some bars, and then he rang me up another time. He was like, yeah, just wondered if you'd want to ride for Fit UK and Primo. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, that's how that happened.
Oh, really? So what that first was done through 70s?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And he just carried over.
Oh, but sorry, I missed the whole bit actually. Like, when we were still filming Voices, we went to the Ride Christmas party down in Bournemouth, and met Tim March.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they were like, he was like starting this bike company called Risen, and he was like, Benson's on it, Blythe's on it, Joe's on it, a few other people, and he's like, do you want to be on it? I was like, yeah, definitely. And then there was like a few ads in it, never happened. And then when I didn't tell Tim about, actually I've got a bit more to tell you about Tim actually, but yeah, he called me up, he was like, you alright, Marv? And this was probably like, I'd already had the bike and shit, I'd like had all the stuff, and I was like, fuck, I didn't know how to tell him. And he was like, you alright, Marv, how's it going? I was like, yeah, pretty good. He goes, how's it riding for Fit then? I was like, oh mate, I'm really sorry, I just didn't tell you, like just weaseled out of it, or like just, you know, you'd like have me banged to rights. So, but he'd actually sorted me out with a few other bits, like he'd got me put on Snafu as well.
Oh really?
Yeah, and there was like an advert with my name as Nick Martin along like next to Dave Mirror's name.
Oh,
I was like, oh my god. But like I was getting it through like Hot Wheels or something, and I got like just they gave me like a full package of parts. And he'd also got me on. Was that before or after? Like Jersey had got me trainers from DC through Dylan Clayton.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I met him at Battle Royale in Liverpool.
All right.
But I think I was a bit later on, but Tim got me hooked up with Nike SB.
All right.
And this guy called Seb Palmer, and he would give me like all these like amazing trainers that I had no idea what they were.
Yeah.
They were like SB, but they were all like SB Dunks, but they were like the super limited edition ones, and I just fucking ruined them. Like people would be paying like 500 quid a pair for these now, and I had no idea. I remember Jack being like, "Oh, you fucking ruined those." I was like, "Who gives a shit?" Like they're fucking trainers.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea. But yeah, so I got on Fit and Primo through 70s and John Taylor, and then they asked me if I'd come down to Hastings when it was like the beginning of Roundabout 2.
Oh, okay.
And Cookie, and this was like May 2006, and I had my new bike at that point. I had all of my new deck down. And I think G Sport was giving me stuff as well.
Right.
But I remember getting a discount for stuff in Sheffield, but I think after that I probably got like a couple of hubs or something.
Oh,
he gave me hubs.
Yeah.
And I sort of got a bit through, like, I can't remember what happened, but he would like, because he got bought by Odyssey or was like doing stuff for Odyssey. Yeah. So then I remember getting cranks and stuff. But yeah, at one point I had like, and then I started riding for Carhartt as well.
All right.
Like through James, and he'd like, that was like a mental hookup, man. You just get like every 6 months, here's a catalogue.
Yeah,
pick whatever you want.
Was it Owen was on that as well?
Owen was on it,
Who else was on
and Joe Fox.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Everyone was on a little bit somehow. And then, was that? But yeah. I think that...
We saw you on a trip, remember we was on a trip and you guys
yeah.
was on a Carhartt trip in Germany, yeah.
Yeah. What was that, 2006 or so? That must have been 2007.
Yeah. Can't remember. One of the two, yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah.
But we were like, oh my god, what the fuck? In Wuppertal.
Yeah,
I think you were like chucking fireworks through our windows and shit. But yeah, we all went to the trails, didn't we?
Oh, that's it, yeah. Then I can't remember what they're called, but they've been there for years, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys were riding them, me and Rhys would, like, Benson rode them, and I think Barney did as well. He might have been like, he'd been on some like massive couple of weeks in Ibiza, and I think he was on a bit of a downer afterwards. But yeah, we were just fucking messing around all day.
How did the Carhartt thing end? Like that? Did that abruptly end, or what happened with that?
I can't remember.
They had a like nice office, didn't they, in Shoreditch?
Yeah, plush office. Yeah. And he got me to like invoiced for like 3 or 4 months.
Oh really?
They gave me like £100 a month for a bit. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
But after, so I was on the dole for a bit, and then Benson was working at this photography studio in de Beauvoir, and it was run by this lady called Emma, and her husband Wes. He ran this website, or was one of like 4 or 5 people that ran a website called Contraband, and then they needed someone like a junior to come and work there, and they asked Benson if he knew anyone, and he's like, yeah, my mate Marv can do that. Or just like...
Yeah.
So I went in for like... I didn't even realise it was like a job interview. They were like, yeah, they want to talk to you. I was like, okay. And I'm pretty sure Dan and Millsy were down like up from Sheffield, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, there, I want to go riding. And I went in with like fucking like a goatee and a baseball hat, and they waited outside whilst I fucking chatted to this guy Wes and my future boss Cam, and they're like, yeah, well, do you want to start next week? I was like, I can't next week, I've got my mates down. So I started like the following week, and then I basically worked there for like 5 years or something.
Oh, okay, I remember it. Yeah, I remember you working there.
And yeah, I was like away by that point. You know, like it had all sort of fallen into place a bit. Like I thought it was like a sick job. Like I got paid like 60 quid a day.
Yeah.
I was like, fucking hell, I'm rich. I nicknamed myself $1 Million Marv. And I was like, fucking, you know, earning 300 quid a week.
I remember that name, yeah.
I was like, fucking hell, I'm loaded. Can't spend it quick. Can't spend it. You know.
Can't get rid of it all.
Yeah. Just had like, you know what I mean? Like, I was getting bikes for free.
Yeah.
I was getting clothes for free. All I had to buy was like food and booze, and that was it. Couldn't get through it. I was like fucking loaded. Like, but yeah, and then just like started filming pretty heavily for Nang, like, and just started riding with everyone on that a lot, really.
Yeah.
And going up to like still had really strong ties with Sheffield. Like go up there quite often. And they'd be coming down here quite a bit, like probably more Dan than most of the others, but yeah, and everyone was just like hooked up by that point, weren't they? Like it's sort of like, I mean, I guess because I moved away, like it Actually, didn't go separate ways. Like everyone was riding loads, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's just like they were riding for different people, but they were all still in the same location. Really.
Yeah. What with the videos that like you made Nang? What was standard procedure next, or fair play? What was it? Fair
I
play.
did fair play, and then
Saver was that the last one you did?
no.
How many did you make?
Made 5.
5,
yeah.
Or was it one every year or something?
No, they were more spread out than that.
Okay.
So I made Nang, and then that was also while Tomorrow We Work was happening, so I was contributing to that as well.
Yeah.
But Nang was a bit like before Tomorrow We Work, but I think Nang came out in like 2007, and then Tomorrow We Work came out in 2008. But so just like made Nang in probably like a year and a half to bought a camera 2006, came out end of 2007 probably, and then got like loads made. I thought oh well, Joe's done this, like I need it'll sell all that.
1,000 of them made.
Yeah, I think I got 500 made and fucking really struggled to shift them.
Deep there,
I thought, Mozza will just pump these out.
Yeah.
And like Thingy moved. I remember Fit moved to
Fall
down, yeah. And but Primo stayed with Thingy with 70s. But yeah, so I think Ian said I think he was like, yeah, we always knew that Fit was going to come over. They just had to finish what they were doing. But yeah, I was like, oh well, I wasn't really sure whether he actually wanted me to ride for him or not. Second-hand rider. Here you go.
I didn't actually know. I thought that you got on when 4 down. Got it? Yeah, that's weird. I didn't know that.
No, it was
so what did they put? Did you quit Primo, or was you on Primo for a little bit after that?
I think I got hooked up by Animal.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I think I was like, yeah, I think I need to stop riding for Primo because I wanted to ride for Animal. Had reached out, and I think they would. I can't remember who was distroing them, but it the hookup came from Bob as opposed to through a UK distro.
Yeah.
Which felt pretty like unreal.
Yeah.
And I think Joe was getting stuff from Animal, and then I think I can't remember how it happened, but it definitely came through like Joe and Bob, me getting on Animal.
All right.
But yeah, that was, and then they started distroing it through 4 down, so it's kind of perfect, really. Yeah. So that was good. But yeah, I guess there was a lot going on. Like film, we went on like a few trips as well for Nang. Like got some stuff from when we went on that Carhartt trip.
Yeah.
And then we went to Madrid in 2007 as well. But that was with like all the Sheffield boys as well, because they were filming for Tomorrow We Work, and then I got all the footage. All the footage of me went for Tomorrow We Work, but I filmed the rest of the people on Nang for Nang.
Okay.
But yeah.
And did you like advertise that, or what did you do to try and pump that out?
Well, I did like an internet advert, and then I think I had a small interview that Ricky did for me Ricky shot some pictures of me, or one picture that was in Dig, and then I had an interview about Nang coming out in Dig.
Okay. And
that was it.
That was your loan, like them two pieces, 500 DVDs. Not bad.
Yeah.
And so, at this point in time, was the ride interview like around this period, or a little bit after? I remember you saying that you shot that in the dead of winter. That interview was shot in January or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was similar time. Yeah.
Okay.
Because all that footage is on. The footage from that is in Tomorrow We Work.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so I shot a bunch of stuff with Benson, like, I think it must have been autumn time, and then Bancroft was like, wanted to come and finish it off. And then I did it all off. I did the 180 bar spin at London Bridge after work one day, and the same. I think no, it wasn't. It was autumn time. It wasn't dead of winter.
Oh, was
it was
it?
like November, like October, November. It wasn't quite
yeah.
that bad yet.
Okay.
And then I crooked that rail at SOAS in there at winter, and that was meant to be for the cover. And but they didn't like it. I can't remember what else was in
the
there.
one that I remember, the pick I liked was the pegs down the. Was it like a tiled?
Oh yeah,
That
Benson
was real
shot
nice.
that.
Yeah, that was nice. That
Yeah,
pick,
I was pretty stoked with that.
yeah. Well, that's not there. Was that down Blackfriars?
Yeah, still there.
It's still there, is it?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Thingy hangered it like Alex Kennedy, opposite hangered the top rail, and then regular hangered
Wow.
down that tiled ledge like recently /within the last 5 years.
Yeah,
I was like, fucking hell, that's good.
yeah.
Um,
And that that rubbed a few people up the wrong way as well, didn't it?
oh yeah, really fucking went to town.
what
on a
was
few
that,
people
what was going on there?
Oh, I was just like, I don't know, just livid at fucking everyone. I think I like binned like Leo Forte, binned James Smith, Will Jack. I'd called Will Jackson in that interview
Oh, okay.
to bin him.
All right, yeah, that's what you said earlier. Yeah.
There's other people I can't remember, but yeah, I think I've apologised to most of them now.
Was there alcohol involved in that one?
Oh yeah, I was like, it was all like a drinking session.
Oh, okay.
No excuse though, but like, yeah, I've pretty much apologised to everyone out of that now. I think pretty sure I've binned Mike Miller. I need to apologise to him. Sorry, Mike, if you're watching this. I think he's the one person I didn't ever apologise to. But yeah, a few years later, so I've binned all these people, and I've met Leo at the This Is United premiere.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I'm really sorry about that. He's like, don't worry about it. And then a bit later, a couple of years later, there was a dig thing at House of Vans.
Yeah.
And I was there with Coxey and Alex Valentino, and I'd just broken my arm in China, and it was all like, I had the surgery like a couple of weeks ago, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, "You alright, mate? You still being a cunt?" And I was just like, yeah, whatever. And then he's like, just like prodding me and saying it again. I was like, who the fuck is this? I was like, fucking hell, it's James Smith. I was like, and I think he'd had a few drinks, and he was like, be like, basically pulling me up and calling him, binning him in that interview.
Oh, right.
And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. If I thought those things, I should have just said it to you, really. Sorry.
Well, how many years later was that? That must have been a few years later.
Yeah,
right?
a good few. Yeah, probably like 5 years, 6 years later, maybe a bit more.
More.
But yeah, I was like the interview in that interview's pretty bad, but I was pretty psyched with the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures were good. Yeah,
I thought I went pretty hard for that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I remember I had like a couple of crooked grinds in mind for it, and I was like, we can do this one. It's near my house, Bancroft. And he was like, this is your interview, Marv. You need to pull it together. I was like, fucking hell, all right, mate. It's winter here. Like, I'm doing this after work, and like he binned me in one of the captions. Like, I did that crooked grind first go, or that second. I think I pegged it first go and then crooked it second go, and he was like, said like I was just fannying around at the top for ages. I was like, fucking alright, mate. You gotta go.
Yeah. Was that when you had the wooden fork in the front wheel?
Oh yeah, that's still in there.
That's still in there, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
good
like
stuff.
various ones.
Oh,
That's always been in there since I was like.
Since you was a scamp, yeah? I didn't know that, yeah. What else? Did you ever kiss the ring or something? Was that another one?
Just like, no, me and Joe used to do it in Sheffield, like, get power.
Okay.
Like come on.
That's it, yeah, all right.
Yeah, nothing to do with my ring.
All right. And so after that, where are we now?
But we went on loads of like, started going on trips.
Fit trips, yeah.
Yeah, like-
so the fit thing kind of blew up, didn't it?
I don't know. I guess so.
And
Like,
it just had momentum. And
Yeah,
like there was
like we went on
UK
that-
Fit was like a thing in the mags and ads, and then the trips and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was really good. Like the first one in Paris, like yeah, you know, I'd been on trips under my own steam before, and then getting them paid for and getting. I remember that first one to Paris was like we went. It was on my birthday at the beginning of it, and everyone was riding in London. I just got wasted and didn't bother, and I was like, I'll ride when we get to Paris. And I remember Dean gave me like an envelope. He's like, this. I was like, what the fuck's this? He's like, this is your food money. And it was my birthday. I was like, yes, and just ripped it open and just ripped all these tennies in half. I was like, oh fucking hell. But yeah, it was like pretty. Like that one was really good. Paris was really good, and then we went on that Ride to Glory the following year.
That's right. I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
That wasn't really as good, but like it was pretty. Like met Coxey on that one, and then like became really good friends with him. After ripping out of him.
What was the vibe of Ride to Glory from everyone on that trip? What one was it? The first one?
It was the very first one.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a bit. I don't know. Like it sounds a bit wanky, but like But it started off in Dumbarton at that skate park, and they were like, "Yeah, you got to sleep at the skate park." I was like, "Fuck this, man! I don't want to sleep at a skate park. Like, what the fuck? This is shit."
Yeah.
And then I think, but we just got like. I remember we bought did quite a lot of drugs on that trip,
Right.
like drinking and drugging on that trip quite a lot, and but it was a bit. It was okay. Like I had a good time. I rode quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I felt like no one really. We went to like Dumbarton and we went to Newcastle and we went to Liverpool, and Ben felt a bit bad for like because it was like Ben Lewis, Benson, Ditchburn, Dakota, and me, and then Dean and Coxey. But like I didn't think Ditchburn and Ben Lewis particularly wanted to go and ride their hometown.
Go back to where they live.
And but it was pretty good. Like it was, it's not really the coolest thing going to do that trip, is it? Like it was. I mean, we had a good time, but I would have rather been in a foreign place.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it was all right.
Yeah. I think they might have got that. Yeah, probably got worse after that, or you'd done quite a lot of drugs, so it was all good anyway. So.
But yeah, like we just got pretty pissed every night, and drinking in the van on the way to places. It was pretty funny. Picking on Dakota.
I didn't even know he was on it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on it. He was like, he's probably like 18 and like pretty naive.
Yeah.
And coming up, and we were just like, me and Benson and Coxey and we just all like, and Ben Lewis.
Yeah.
All like same age, same era people, like getting drunk every night. I don't think Dakota drank.
Yeah.
And we were just like
letting loose.
Yeah. But then after that we went to like Greece the following year. That was fucking sick. And then went to Helsinki the year after that. And then went to.
Well, I watched the Spanish one last week. Maybe was it Spain or France? South of France or Spain?
That was the last one. Yeah. That was actually pretty hard work, to be honest. It was so hot.
Oh, okay.
And it was like.
Helsinki was a good one, wasn't it?
That was really good. And Stockholm was trying to be the same sort of thing, but it wasn't quite as. you know, you kind of need to get lucky with the spots.
Yeah.
The spots weren't quite right, which it's not like a knock on the
Yeah.
place. It's just like we just got really lucky with Helsinki. Like that trip was like unreal. It was like the hottest it had been there for 75 years,
Oh, okay.
and it was like amazing.
Yeah.
So good. And we stayed in this the youth hostel. We all 10 of us in one room in a youth hostel. It was in the Helsinki Olympic Games stadium, and I think it was my birthday when we were there, and we went out boozing, and on the way home we just like, because it got dark at like 10 p.m. and got light at 2 a.m. and it was never really, really dark. So we were just like out, and we just sort of went a bit mad, and we found this bike, and we just started doing like our own Olympics, and we found this. I think it was a fountain, but we were like, oh, it's a swimming pool, so we were just like diving in it, and just like found this like ginormous chess set, and just like, let's have a throwing competition with this just going fucking mental. And then like we broke into the stadium, we found this bike, carried it to the very top of the stadium, and just chucked it off. And then got in the stadium and had a 100-metre race, and then went home and went to bed. And then went riding the next day. But it was really good. Just like that trip, just everything sort of fell into place a bit. You know, sometimes it does, sometimes doesn't. That was just really, really good.
Nice. And what have you, at this point, have you got a signature fit frame? Or that's later?
I think Ben's had come out. Yeah, Ben Lewis's frame had come out, and then mine came a little bit after, maybe a year after that, 18 months after that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the year, but yeah, Ian was like a massive part of that. Really.
Okay.
And he was on that fit trip as well, which was sick.
All right.
Like him and Dean were like, it was really good. He sorted a lot of stuff out for me, really. Ian. It was pretty good to me. But yeah, I think because Ben's frame did really well, it sort of had some like cutting edge geometry for the time, really slam back end and like all this stuff. And they were like, this has done really well. So I think Ian pushed for me to get one. But obviously, like I was nowhere near as good as Ben, and the frame mine was like, you know, like his, but a bit different, like a bit of a longer,
taller as well, wasn't it?
Bit taller,
His was really low, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it did that well, because it was definitely the cheapest frame on the market for a while. I think people were just trying to blow them out by the end of it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think it came down to like 180 quid or something.
How many runs are those? Do you know how many?
Maybe two.
It lasted a while, I thought, didn't it?
I think because I was buying them.
Like, what colour is it? You had the blue, which was like...
Yeah, had a blue.
Which was a Taj blue, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for, because I thought that was good back in the day.
Was it black?
Yeah.
The other one?
Yeah.
And that was it?
Yeah.
That's the two colours. And how did you like come up with that geo? Just...
Well, I like Ben's, but I wanted it a little bit longer at the back, because I thought his was a little bit too tight for manuals.
Yeah.
I think it just made it a bit harder. And I just wanted it a bit taller, really. And longer at the front end. Not much. But
so it was just like an upscaled version of it?
A little bit, yeah.
Was the head tube taller on that?
Well, what do you mean?
Like the...
No, I suggested that.
Okay.
And they were like... I was like, you should make it a bit... I remember, like, I think I emailed Moeller or someone, like, someone in charge. Someone, like, high up, and I was like, this is a good idea. Like, how about you extend that so then people don't have to run so many stackers? They were like, nah. I was like... Should have painted it that, mate.
Yeah, man, that's the thing now. Yeah,
popular now.
And what was it named after the pub?
Yeah, John Gorgon lived next to the Duke of Wellington pub next to Haggerston Overground, and we were just like spending so much time in there. Like, you know, if we weren't riding or work, we were probably in there. Like, just, you know, drinking and partying a lot at this time, you know, like that was it for me.
Yeah.
You know, all weekend, just like, you know, Friday night, go out, either I'd finish work, go and ride Mile End or wherever, drink there, and then go out on a night out, Next day, hopefully not feel too bad. Ride all Saturday. Try and get something. Try and film for a video at some point. Go out Saturday night. Depending on how bad you feel. Next day, ride or go to the welly all day.
Yeah.
And then go to work. Just repeat.
Just keep going.
Just repeat for the next 5 years.
Wow. And this was like Tomorrow We Work era as well, is it?
Yeah, probably. No, this is after that. Okay. It's probably like Tomorrow We Work came out 2008.
Oh, right.
And,
so this is like 2012 or something.
Yeah, okay. 2011, 2012. But Tomorrow We Work was like fucking sick.
Was a good one, yeah.
Really good. I thought it was a good upgrade.
Again, different.
Voices. Yeah.
Like it was like an evolution of the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like because the ride sections had slimmed down, hadn't they? Like Benson didn't have a section, Ernie didn't have a section.
Okay.
Blythe had a split with Sandy. So it sort of, but then there was more like friends and mixed sections.
It had more vibe, I think. Than
I think that's probably the best UK video that's ever been made. That.
Oh yeah.
I think that's better than Voices. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
You can see how like every single clip in that has been like, you know, it's got a grading on it and it all matches. Yeah. It's all refined. It all matches and it all works.
Yeah.
I think that's like
that was what he was trying to do, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not make the same video, make it slightly different.
Yeah.
And make it a bit more vibey. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Voices,
the colours a bit even.
They're subdued, aren't they? If you think about Voices, it's pretty colourful.
Yeah.
But Tomorrow works more like muted.
Yeah.
And I think it works pretty well. I mean, I think it works.
Yeah.
Well.
I haven't seen that. Is that on the internet?
I think so.
I haven't seen that for a long time. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, I like that a lot.
How did the fit thing end?
Well, I don't think the frame went that well for me. I sort of got a bit old. I think I was like late 20s, early 30s, and I wasn't really like doing like big tricks anymore. I wasn't like doing big handrails and gaps and all this. After my interview and Tomorrow We Work, I was sort of like, I wasn't really doing all that. I wasn't doing all that big stuff. Other than probably on like a fit trip. But even then, like I remember on that Helsinki trip, I'd broken my hand in America, and I'd just come back to riding, and I had that frame, and I kind of didn't really feel that great about it.
Yeah.
And I felt like, you know, me 5-10 years ago would be fucking binning me. Yeah. So I was like, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
So I think I can't remember how. I don't know how it ended.
Yeah.
But I remember I must have spoken to Ian, because I was speaking to Ian quite a lot at this time.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, on Skype or whatever. Like I talked to him quite a lot. So I must have. I don't think it. Maybe ask him, but I don't think it ended badly.
Yeah.
Like I'm still mates with him now, and
I
I think I just said I don't want to ride for it anymore. And I think he might have said, "Can you just keep going until these frames are over?"
Okay.
Or something. Actually, I'm probably making that up, but I assume that's probably what happened. And then I got that old dirt bike off Steve Connor.
All right.
Do you remember?
I remember you on a dirt bike at some point. Yeah.
I rode that for a bit. I was fucking completely. It was so difficult to ride. Like I couldn't really hop it very high.
Yeah, I bet.
But it was amazing to ride it was really good to ride the bowl on, but I couldn't. It was so difficult to ride street on. And then I think I don't know what else I had. I don't know what I had after that. I think I probably put my fit back together. And then I become real good friends with Orlando by this point.
All right.
And he was like, do you want to ride for the make? I said I didn't want to begin with, and he was like, it'll be good. Like you can come on trips with us. It'll be. I don't know. He talked me into
It'd
it,
be
and
fun,
he was right. It was really good.
Okay.
So I'm glad I did that. And then I started doing bigger stuff again. I felt a bit more comfortable with it all.
What frame was you riding when you rode for them?
I think I rode a count frame to begin with, and then I had a couple of crew frames.
Okay.
But that was good. But I've been to America at this point as well. I went to America in like 2009 or 10. I went 2 years in a row, and then another year after that, and that was pretty good.
Where'd you go? New York.
I went to New York. Like, I spoke to Dan Cox, and I was like, I didn't know how to approach it at all. I should have just I was riding for Animal. I should have just been like, can I come out? But I spoke to he gave me, I think I MySpaced Jared Washington.
All right.
And he was like, I was like, can I come out and stay with you? And he was like, you can't stay with me, but you can stay with my mate Teague. And he lives in Ralph Sinisi's house. I was like, okay, sick, that'd be good. So then I bought a ticket and I went for like maybe 2 weeks. And Jared gave me his number. And he's like, give me a call when you land. I was like, okay, I'm getting into JFK this time, this date. And I called him and it was like, this number is out of service. I was like, oh, fucking hell. So I called him a bunch of times, there was no answer. And the night before I went, I was out with John Gorrigan and I bumped into some of his mates, this guy Matty, another one Hawken, and they were like, this other guy I knew already. He was like, Rory's living in New York, you should give him a shout whilst you're there. I was like, okay. And he gave me Rory's number. So I called this guy Rory and he's like, actually no, I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? Okay, just go into New York and get a hotel or go and find somewhere to stay. Like, I'd written down like a bunch of hostels because of I wasn't sure what to say to Border Patrol. And so I went to like near Central Park and just started trying to find one. I was like, oh, fucking hell, this is pretty tough. Like, it was boiling hot and I was like, just felt like shit after this flight, just walking around with a massive bike bag. So then I called Rory and he was like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, you can come and stay. I'm like, I'm flying back to England tomorrow. I was like, oh shit. He's like, and I went out last night, can you just come this evening? And I was like, yeah, all right. And I was like, he gave me his address and he lived down in the Lower East Side. I was like, okay. So I was like, fucking hell, what am I going to do for 6 hours? And so I just fucked around, walked around a bit and bought some fags and just tried to take it in. And I was like, I need to just go there now. I just went and stayed with him and then got there. I was like, can I go on your computer? And I logged into MySpace. I was like, dude, then messaged Jared. I was like, your number doesn't work. And he messaged back, called me the next day. I was like, hey man, sorry, I gave you my old number. I was like, fuck's sake. And then I got the train out to New Jersey and he picked me up and
cool.
I met Teague and stayed at Ralph had his house that I think he owned it in Clifton, but he lived somewhere else. And I stayed with Teague for about a week, and then he was like, should we go into town, up into the city? And I met Reyes there, and then I met Bob, and I met Vinny, and he was like, do you want to come stay at my house? Because he lived in Jersey City, which is just on the other side of the river from New York. And then I spent the whole second week at Vinny's house, and but he had broken his hand because he'd had a fight with some guy in the street or something. So he couldn't ride, and then I met Bob, and I met everybody there.
Yeah.
And it was pretty sick.
Got connected.
Yeah. And then I went back the following year and filmed a bunch of stuff with Bob.
All right.
And that's how I got a bit of a part on Cuts. And then I went over to my auntie lives in Marin County, and she's on the other side of the water from San Francisco, so I went there for a week, and that was pretty good too. Met some pretty cool riders over there. Everyone just meets out at the clock tower in town, and just ride around there. It was pretty different from being in New York, you know.
Yeah.
And then I went so that was 2008, and went 2 years in a row, 2008, 2009, and then I went in 2011 as well. And the second time I went, I just stayed with Vinny, and then the third time I went, I stayed with Bob, and they were like,
where were they living?
in Jersey City.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty sick, man. Just like really laid back, you know. I don't think Bob would get out of bed till at least earliest midday. Go and get some food, maybe go out riding at 2, and then just get beers and sit on his stoop until past 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
It was pretty wicked, man. I was like, this is great. This is really good. And I went to Philly the first time when I met Reyes in New Jersey, and then he was like, you should come to Philly, and I went to Philly, and I got the Chinatown bus down there, and he picked me up, and then spent like a few days in Philly, which was fucking wicked.
Philly's nice, isn't it?
It's really good, yeah. I like it there a lot. It's really cool. And he's fucking cool as well, really cool.
Is he still there?
Yeah. He came over came over here like 5 years ago.
Oh, really?
He's fucking cool, man. But yeah, and then like the whole time, like after Nang came out, I just started. You always have like a bit of a lull after the video comes out, and then you're like, right, let's
pick up another one.
Pick up again, and then you just film in and just. Like, I felt Nang was probably it felt like for me probably a bit more of a production, but then them other videos after that felt a bit more like DIY, and I kind of like that a bit more. Like they're a bit more like not trying to change the world.
Yeah,
just like this is happening.
Yeah,
and it's pretty.
I like the later ones. Yeah, Nang had some harsh music on it. We watched it. Watched your part the other day. Me and Darren were like, "Fucking hell!" Darren's like, "Turn the music. I can't watch it." Yeah, he had to turn the music off.
Fucking turn it up. Turn it up, mate.
Banging drum and bass or something. What is that?
Dizzy Rascal again.
We were like, "What the fuck?" But the others, I thought, yeah, they were smoother. Like,
yeah,
I guess your camera got better, right?
No, not really.
You just learned how to film properly, maybe.
Yeah,
it looked like a different camera in a few of the later ones.
they were all Sonys.
Oh, were they?
Like, I ended up with like a collection of like.
I remember a couple of them later ones being like really crystal as well. Like,
I got a lot better
nice
at
lighting
filming
and stuff. Yeah,
I knew what I was looking for. Like, I guess I didn't really. I just thought, you got a free chip camera, it's going to be fine.
Yeah,
but it wasn't really.
Yeah,
like I got a lot better at filming and editing.
Yeah,
and knew what I was like going for, and picking music and stuff. It's just a bit more like organic as opposed to like this is just.
Yeah, it definitely evolved into something better than the first one. Anyway, I mean, different times, isn't it? Totally different, but. And how many of them did you sell? Like, what did you just get? About 100 of them done or something?
I've no idea. I think I've probably got like 100 done.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. Yeah.
Like my mate Liam, he worked at this place called I can't remember what, but they had a DVD copier which could do like 8 at a time.
Okay.
So after Nang, I got like professionally done.
Yeah.
And then for the following 3, I got him to print them. I'd write on the disc. And then Rob 8 was working at a printing place in town. He'd print the covers, and then I'd buy sleeves and just mail them out myself and write on them.
That's cool, yeah.
I like that a lot more. Like, it felt like pretty rewarding, like putting them all together and you're like, then you've got all these like sick. Yeah. They're all there, like production lines ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the last one I got printed properly.
Last one you had posters for. Maybe a couple of them you had posters for. Was that Rob Haight, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, Rob did them, yeah.
I've still got... I found a couple of posters the other day.
I mainly did them for the premieres.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually wish I had a bit more of that merch left. Because they were I quite like that stuff now.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that people do that just because they want to do it as well. Like,
yeah, it feels like
everything.
Exactly. Yeah, it's actually a bit nicer, isn't it?
Yeah.
But there's no like, you're not making anything here.
No.
Well, you are. You're making this product,
you're-
but it's nice. You're not making any money.
You're making it happen. Like you're pushing the blood back into the scene. Like that's what I think it's like. It's nice, isn't it? Like
Yeah, it's good.
You're doing it just purely because you want to do it, and that's what you're into.
Yeah, it felt good.
Yeah.
You know, after everyone would be like, "Fucking hell, this is." You've watched the video like 100 times.
Yeah.
Be like, watch it again.
Yeah.
Like, export it. Watch it again.
Yeah.
Just check. You have to check everything. I mean, I missed loads of shit, but like, yeah, it was afterwards you'd be like, "Fucking hell, this sucks," and you'd always get like nervous at the premiere and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, they were always wicked.
Yeah.
Like, there'd be like big turnouts.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like big turnouts. People would come like down from, places.
Yeah.
And be like,
Way up, like Nurik used to come then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Further up
like, I
than
remember
Nurik.
like after one, he was like, "Fucking hell, we're driving back to
Yeah.
driving back to Newcastle tomorrow," and I was like, "Jesus, that fucking sucks."
Yeah.
With raging hangover. But yeah, it felt good. Like the ones that I had at the Stag's Head, they were really good. Like
What one was that? Was that the one up?
down Orsman, yeah, by the canal.
Yeah, just behind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I had two there. They were really.
Okay.
I really liked those ones. The one I did at Passion was a bit like sketchy, wasn't it?
What one was
Was
that?
it Passion? The one that's just up there in a basement.
Blush Bar.
Blush. Yeah, Blush.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that one was busy. The one up there.
Yeah.
Like, was that was the last one? Was it maybe?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
did two there. I did.
I can remember. I remember going.
I did
there,
fair play there.
Okay, yeah,
I think. No, hold on. No, I didn't. I did Savour there, and then no, Standard Procedure there.
Okay.
Then Savour there, and then
All right.
back to Civilization down there.
Oh, okay. Back to Civilization was the one I was forgetting. Yeah.
You like that one, don't you? You like that name.
Don't know what it means.
Oh, we just used to say it to Coxie to wind him up.
Oh.
When we go and stay with him in Hastings or something, we were like, "What's up?" We were like, "Come on," like whoever we were with, like, "Come on, Benz, let's go back to Civilization." He'd be like, "Fuck off."
Oh. And that so that kind of takes us right up to date, really. And what what are you doing now?
What do you mean?
Like work wise, like what do you do with you?
I'm a photographer now.
Okay.
Like after I stopped working at Contraband, I worked with John Gorrigan as a photo assistant for about 5 years, and then worked with a few other people, and then started shooting on my own, and then been doing that for maybe 6 years.
Oh,
going
right.
on. And got married, got a
Yeah.
kid, got another one coming pretty soon.
Another
Another one. Ride a little bit.
Yeah.
Just ride in the summer, really. Just it's too. I just sort of had enough. I got to like. I was finding it difficult to like stay out of injuries. Like
Yeah.
I'd fallen some like a lot on my wrists, and they were getting really weak, and I was rolling ankles quite a lot still. And it was difficult to like, you got to ride like 3 times a week to feel.
Yeah, to
I
feel
felt I
like
had to
you're
ride like
connected,
3
yeah.
times a week to feel good at riding, and then I'd constantly be either struggling with injuries, or life was becoming pretty busy with like work and everything else. So you kind of like, oh, I can go riding. Oh no, no one's around. Can't go riding. Oh no, I'm going to go riding. And no, it's
Yeah.
raining, and I get pissed off. I'd be like, right, I just need to fucking calm down a bit. So I just sort of like, I told myself, right, that's just stop for a bit, or stop trying to chase it all the time. And then I did, and I felt a lot better. And then I ride. I ride when, if it's there, go riding.
Yeah.
Like if you can, go riding, but don't be like pissed off if you can't
Don't
go,
make it. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was just fucking eating me up, and I was like getting really pissed off. But yeah, now like I had like a really good ride with Rhys and Richie at Stockwell in like end of the summer last year. Like take my little boy to Homerton Humps and ride
Oh,
there.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
real good. he loves it, and I quite like just riding there. Rode a bit of street with Bambi at the end of the year, or like before he got hurt. So yeah, just it feels a lot. It feels much nicer to do it like that. And I still think about riding a lot.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, how much desire do you have to still do it? That probably never leaves you, right?
I don't think so. No, I really like the stuff that got me into riding.
Yeah,
like I really like 1997.
Yeah,
it sounds stupid.
No, it doesn't, because that's the stuff that had the impact on you, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the stuff that you was chasing the whole time you was going riding, really, isn't it?
Well,
you're looking to recreate like how you felt when you saw that. Like,
yeah, and riding is amazing. Like I love it. It's taken me to places that I never would have gone to, and like it's given at one point I was like felt so confident in life, and that was all to do with riding. Like I had no worries at all.
Yeah,
I was like. Felt like fucking king of the world, man. Like I was like, this is fucking great, and that was all to do with riding. So I still want to do it, and I still think about it a lot, but I just don't go that much.
Yeah. Do you think that'll change though?
What do you mean?
Like, do you think you'll go more? Like,
well, probably not with a new kid.
Yeah.
But maybe in a couple of years' time. Yeah. I don't want to ride street anymore. I don't really like street riding anymore. I don't know, I liked riding Stockwell, but I don't know why. I think it's just like jumping something. I want to go and ride some jumps. I want something that's like a bit easier on your body, but even if it's like a bit more dangerous. Yeah. Like jumping, I'd like to jump a jump box or a spine. Yeah. I don't want to like jump down some stairs or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? Like,
it's just
over years and years of like, yeah. Oh, I've got another. Actually, I meant to ask you something earlier and I forgot. A couple of people asked me about locking up handrails.
What about it?
they was like no one could figure out whether it actually happened or it didn't, and what was the reasons for it.
Well, I think I did lock up that one in Dalston actually. Those new. Where Dalston Junction
build,
is.
Yeah. I know what you mean, yeah, in the square.
Yeah, there was like a new rail built there. I was like, that's fucking mine, man, I'm having it. I don't even know what I wanted to do on it. And I bought this I was like, fuck, I'm not putting up one of my locks on there. I think I bought like a £1 lock or something and put it on there. And it I think someone just went, fuck this, and just fucking...
Oh, they broke it off?
Yeah, I don't know when. I was just, but I think it went probably about like a week later or something. It was gone. But I don't even like that rail. I don't think I've even ever done it.
Oh, all right.
But I think it was to do with there was a dub monster street jam that was coming up in London, and I was like, this is shit, man. Like I thought it was so shit because I just thought battle royales were sick because they were like. There was no energy drink involved. Yeah, it was really organic and DIY. And I was like, how can this just be happening with Monster? How can they sponsor a street jam? That's fucking shit. And but I remember speaking to you about it. And I was like, what can we do? And you were like, let's pour some jam or honey on some ledges or something. I was like, yeah, that's a good idea.
I remember saying, no, I'll get you some blocks cheap.
Yeah, I think you were adding fuel to the fire, to be honest. You were loving it. But yeah, I did it, but it was pretty half-assed and probably more of a rumour than anything substantial.
It's a good, because...
I think those New York guys had done it as well.
All right.
I remember Vinny had done it to a rail in where he grew up in New Jersey. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. It's pretty fucking lame.
Yeah, I quite like it for some reason. I don't know why, but I just think...
Not him, I don't think he's lame. I think he did a better of a job of it than I did. My pretty half-assed effort was lame.
And I take it you still follow BMX obviously now. So
I do.
What stuff do you like and what stuff don't you like? Or do you not even look at the stuff you don't like? You just following the.
I like that guy Mickey Fleck.
Oh yeah.
He's fucking sick, man. Like he's pretty like raw, and I quite like that. He's pretty like freestyle. He's got his tricks, you know what I mean? Like he does. You know what's coming, but it's like it's good. That's his style. I quite like that. But yeah, there are other people I like, but I can't remember who they are. There are some really good people, but I can't think. I do. I mean, a lot of it's like it could have been done 10 years ago.
Yeah, but that's the good stuff in it, I think.
No, like some of like the tech street stuff, or like I don't know how to say it without sounding rude, but like you know, Garrett Reynolds probably did that, could have done that 10 years ago, or like someone else could have done that 10 years ago. Like there's not been. Yeah. I feel like when we were doing it, it was progressing at a really fast rate, and it's really. And it doesn't, I'm not trying to sound rude, but it's like it's difficult to progress at such a high rate because there's nowhere to there's less places to go. So it's sort of flattened off a little bit, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, but it's sometimes I find it a bit like sometimes find that aspect of it a little bit boring, and people are just so dialed now. I quite like a bit of a sketchier edge. You know, if someone does something a bit too easy, I'm like, oh, I think.
Just didn't look like anything.
Yeah, it looks and
people got too good. Yeah,
yeah.
Some people.
Yeah, and it sounds ridiculous to say if people are too good.
Yeah, but that takes the danger out of it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's like watching someone do the most ridiculous thing 10 feet up, and it just didn't look like he even tried. And it's like, it didn't. Yeah, and then you watch someone do a sketchy 540 or something. 2 feet out, and you're like, yeah.
Like I like that Jordan Godwin. He's good.
Okay.
That guy from Wales. He's really good. Like he fucking does some big shit, and you know I like his style. I can't think. I mean, there's not loads and loads of people I like, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like. I like watching those. What are those siblings called that ride for S&M?
Hallahans.
The Hallahans. I quite like that. Or like, I quite like not street riding. I mean, I know I just said I like Mickey Fleck and Jordan Godwin, but I quite like watching dirt jumping again.
Yeah.
And I like that. Just, that's good.
Yeah.
I just like watching old videos really now. It sounds a bit lame. I like watching. I found like Props 18, the whole thing on YouTube the other day. I was like, this is fucking sick.
What one's that?
It's got like a BS contest in Florida. There's like a entry to the X Games.
We've got is it red ramps on that one?
Yeah, and I think Taj does like a one-handed whip in it.
Oh yeah,
fucking massive. Yeah. And then it's got like, I mean, there's not actually a huge amount on there. It's got like a Brian Tunney interview and a really short Coren Stasio interview and stuff like that.
I remember Coren Stasio. Yeah. That's where he's hanging out with a girl, wasn't it?
Yeah, girls. But yeah, I just like watching old shit really, which sounds, it's a bit of a finite amount of things you can watch, but is what it is, isn't it?
You can watch them again though, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Go anywhere.
Oh man! All right, well, I'm good with that. If you are.
I think so.
You good with that?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, man. Thanks a lot, man.
No worries.
Nice one.
Thanks for listening. We've got a Patreon page, so if you could show us any support, we'd be most grateful. The link's below. A lot of work goes into these shows, so anything you could do would be much appreciated. Thank you.